In my past life, I was madly in love with Gu Yi, doing all sorts of crazy things for him, but he destroyed my family and left me to die without a proper burial. Reborn at age 18, I faced Gu Ye's disdainful glare as he sneered, "Take your filthy money back, I don't want it." Without hesitation, I withdrew my bank card. Perfect timing. I'd changed my mind too. Someone else can deal with this mess. I'm outta here. None. Keep your filthy money. I want no part of it. The young man before me wore a defiant sneer, eyeing me like I was something disgusting. His sudden outburst drew a crowd of onlookers in front of the bustling teaching building. It didn't take long for people to recognize the two of us. Isn't that Gu Ye's desperate simp Lin Yuan? How shameless, she's back fawning over our pristine campus heartthrob again. Seriously, does she even know the meaning of the word dignity? That Lin Yuan flaunts her family's wealth all day, using money to humiliate people. It's utterly vulgar. The murmurs around me snapped me out of my daze. I'd truly been reborn, back to my 18-year-old self, staring at the young Gu Yi before me. I briefly lost myself in confusion before quickly regaining clarity. The despair of being cornered by Gu Yi, of jumping from the 22nd floor, flooded back into my mind. The next second, my slap landed squarely across his face. "You ungrateful bastard, how dare you raise your voice at me like that? I'm 18 now. Not 38. I'm now the young mistress of the Lin family, not that desperate Lin Yuan he pushed to the brink. He treated me like this only because I loved him, but guess what? I've wised up now. Who's gonna put up with this crap anymore?" Gu Yi was clearly stunned by my slap, taking a full second to snap out of it. "Lin Yuan, have you fucking lost your mind? How dare you hit me?" His face burned with humiliation as he raised his hand high, ready to strike back, with a contemptuous smirk. I tilted my chin up and stepped forward. "What, you wanna hit me? I dare you." He stared at me in confusion, as if bewildered by my sudden defiance. Wasn't I supposed to be groveling at his feet? Shouldn't I be taking his abuse silently like always, even obediently stuffing money into his pockets? His face turned ashen as he silently lowered his hand, ultimately lacking the nerve to strike. Watching this scene unfold, I suddenly burst into laughter. So this was the man I'd loved for half a lifetime in my past life. Turns out he's just as ordinary as anyone else. Without my love, he's merely an unremarkable young man. In my past life, knowing he came from poverty, I shamelessly fawned over him by finding every possible way to subsidize his living expenses. I bought him gourmet food, designer clothes and shoes, premium smartphones, top-spec computers, and even straight up gave him cash. The whole school knew Gu Yi had Lin Yuan as his obsessive admirer, that tacky girl who kept trying to corrupt him with materialistic temptations. But noble-hearted Gu Yi, despite his impoverished background, refused to accept such patronizing handouts. He always scowls at the vulgar Lin Yuan, never compromising his principles. Everyone praises Gu Yi as a man of integrity, the future of our nation and a pillar of society. Little do they know, while Gu Yi acts impatient with me in public, he never refuses anything I offer in private. Just like earlier, if I forcibly stuffed this bank card into his pocket, he'd put on a reluctant act, then declare with feigned indignation to me and everyone present that this was merely a loan. He's a master of putting on airs, basking in undeserved glory. In truth, he's utterly hypocritical, a complete ingrate. In my past life, I treated him so well, only to invite a wolf into my home, watching my family perish before ending my own life in despair. This time around, I won't be love-struck foolish again, nor will I waste kindness on thankless snakes. May this damned man suffer all the miseries of this world. At this thought, I sneered coldly. "Pathetic coward." My voice rang clearly in Gu Ye's ears. His face flushed crimson instantly as he glared at me, grinding his teeth. "Lin Yuan, don't push your luck. You're nothing but a filthy rich brat." "Oh, so this is what you call filthy money?" I chuckled lightly, twirling my bank card between my fingers. "In that case, I'll take it back. Frankly, I find it quite appealing." A flicker of surprise crossed Gu Ye's eyes, as if he hadn't expected me to actually reclaim it. Then a sudden realization dawned on him, and his eyes welled up with intense humiliation once more. "Lin Yuan, you did this on purpose. You knew my mother's illness requires money, yet you deliberately flaunted it in my face, you shameless witch. I'd rather starve than take your charity, let alone be your boyfriend. You disgust me." With that, Gu Yi turned away without another glance, ready to leave. "Wait, you're not going anywhere," I called out to stop him, thinking of leaving just like that. "That's letting him off too easy." but Guyi clearly misunderstood. He turned around smugly, a mocking smirk playing at the corner of his lips. What's wrong? Having second thoughts. Lin Yuan. Let me make this clear, even if you get down on your knees and beg, I won't forgive you. Watching Guyi's bizarre train of thought, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Guyi, you've got some nerve. I get that you're vain and care about appearances, disliking my blunt way of doing things. But how do you explain putting on this holier-than-thou act in public, refusing my gifts and money, only to take everything behind closed doors? Guyi never expected me to expose him so ruthlessly without sparing his dignity. His face turned a spectacular mix of green and purple. And this is just the beginning. I locked eyes with him and declared to the surrounding crowd, classmates, tell me, isn't this the very definition of wanting to have your cake and eat it too? Gasps. The moment I finished speaking, the crowd erupted in murmurs. No one had expected such juicy drama between us. The online spectators immediately changed their tune. What? So Guyi was actually such a two-faced hypocrite. No wonder he could afford the latest sneakers and smartphones despite being a scholarship student. Turns out he was secretly accepting gifts from Lin Yuan. What a shameless fraud. I can't believe I used to like him. This is so disgusting. What a creep. Ugh. The murmurs from the crowd made Guyi's face burn crimson. He stammered out an explanation. That's not true at all. Don't listen to this spiteful woman's nonsense. She's just bitter because I rejected her advances. I'm not that kind of person. Hearing his explanation, some bystanders began shifting their stance. I'm with Guyi on this. Lin Yuan's just being vindictive. Typical. If I can't have him, no one can. Toxic behavior. Others voiced opposing views. But Lin Yuan is so wealthy, why would she need to frame Guyi? Exactly. And how do you explain all those designer clothes Guyi is wearing? As public opinion turned increasingly against him, Guyi grew frantic, pointing at me with gritted teeth. He snapped, don't listen to her lies. She forced all these things on me. I never wanted them. Watching Guyi's desperate flailing, I remarked leisurely, forcing you? Could I possibly force gifts upon you and then physically dress you in them? What a pea-brained fool, spouting lies without even bothering to craft a decent story. Undeniably brain-dead. Onlookers. Is Guyi actually this delusional? Does he even believe his own nonsense? If he truly didn't want Lin Yuan's gifts, how'd they end up on him? Witness textbook gold digging today. Disgusting. Guyi, at the center of the media storm, was frantic. No, she literally forced this on me. I never wanted it. I stood quietly watching Guyi's meltdown. This wasn't yet the future CEO of Lin Group. Not that wolf in sheep's clothing. His composure and cunning still needed tempering. Pathetic. Can't even handle this much public pressure. In our past life, he drove my family to ruin, seized our company. People called him a homewrecker, a gold-digging ingrate, yet he never batted an eye. He's so fragile now. I could snap his bones with a flick of my wrist. Interesting. Guyi, let me grind you into the dirt, bit by bit. I'll take back every gift I gave you. Make you accept your fate as a rat who can only look up to people like us. Oh, I deliberately raked him with a brazen, suggestive glance. Brand A sneakers, brand C belt, brand F shirt. So you don't want these nice things after all? Fine, give them all back to me. Guyi flushed with humiliation and snapped defiantly. Fine, I will. I'll change out of them and return everything when I get back. Who'd want this trash anyway? Trash. Yet this so-called trash on him was worth over 100K, more than his 4 years of college tuition. How dare some broke student look down on these things? Let alone the person who provided them. I really did spoil him rotten. I shook my head and said, Guyi, you've misunderstood. I mean everything, every single gift I've given you over these years. I want it all back. Guyi's face twisted in disbelief before quickly hardening with resentment. Lin Yuan, I always knew you were petty. Just because I exchanged a few more words with Jiang Xinyue, you'd go this far to ruin me. Fine, take it all back. I couldn't help but laugh inwardly. This version of Guyi was truly pathetic. He remained oblivious to the danger, still mistaking my reaction for mere jealousy. With a faint smile, I said, very well, it's settled then. I'll send someone to collect everything tonight. You'd better have your belongings packed. Watching Guyi flee like a startled deer, I pulled out my phone from my pocket. I suspect he still doesn't grasp what I truly meant by returning everything in full. Hey Uncle Wu. It's Yuan, please cancel Guyi's funding for me. Also withdraw the special medical care arrangements for Guyi's mother at the hospital. Oh, and that apartment near campus we let him live in rent-free, I want it back. I hung up and exhaled deeply, as if releasing pent-up frustration. Perfect. With these arrangements in place, Guyi should finally understand I'm returning everything to him, no strings attached. Let's see how long his holier-than-thou act lasts when reality starts kicking his ass without me around. Word about the incident in front of the teaching building spread like wildfire. Someone even posted the whole thing on the school's forum. Guyi was clearly hit hard. He skipped 2 major classes in the afternoon, which was a first for a diligent student like him. When classmates noticed Guyi's absence, many kept sneaking glances at me during class, probably wondering when I'd swallow my pride and apologize to him. I couldn't care less about their stares. Given this second chance at life, who has time for romance? I'm here to study seriously. As the only daughter, I'm destined to take over the Lin family business someday. This time, I'll hold the power firmly in my own hands. No one can take it from me. The moment class ended, I grabbed my phone to book a Didi ride. Couldn't even wait for the family driver to pick me up. I miss my parents. In my past life, a wrong decision cost us the Lin family fortune. Guyi's actions literally drove my father to his grave, and my mother died of a broken heart soon after. Left to survive alone, I vowed to drag Guyi down to hell with me. Who would have thought my closest friend would betray me at the critical moment, turning the tables against me? In utter despair, I ended my miserable life by jumping off a building. Come to think of it, it's been 3 years since I last saw my parents. Now all I want is to throw myself into their arms and hold them tight. I kept urging the driver to hurry so I could get home as soon as possible. Soon the familiar garden villa came into view. My heart swelled with warmth, and tears welled up in my eyes before I knew it. As I opened the car door and stepped out, just when I was about to enter the courtyard, a figure rushed out. Lin Yuan, wait up, Gu Wan. Guyi's younger sister came running toward me in a white dress. She stopped in front of me, her sharp features twisted in disapproval as she looked down her nose at me. Lin Yuan, how could you treat my brother like that? Don't you realize how much you've wounded a man's pride? Men care about their dignity. Acting this way will only push him away forever. Ugh, you're hopeless. Fine, give me that diamond necklace you got for your birthday last time. I'll talk to my brother for you. He's soft-hearted. If I put in a good word, he might just forgive you when he's in a better mood. She put on this sanctimonious act, presenting her scam as if it were the most natural thing in the world. That diamond necklace of mine is worth millions. Talk about having expensive taste. In my past life, she deliberately befriended me under the pretense of helping me pursue her brother. Naive as I was, I mistook her fake kindness for genuine care and granted her every request. Designer bags worth hundreds of thousands, luxury jewelry, I'd give them to her without hesitation whenever she asked. She conned me out of countless valuables, crafting herself a spoiled heiress persona at school to hog the spotlight. Yet when Guyi sabotaged me, she stood by clapping and laughing, saying she'd loathed me for ages. I'd planned to deal with her later, but since she's come begging for trouble, I'd be wasting my second chance at life if I didn't make her regret it. She tilted her chin up and shot me a sidelong glance, demanding, "Why are you just standing there? Go get it now." I broke into a smile and nodded. "Alright, just wait a moment. I'm going to rally the troops right now and take back every single thing I ever gave you." Bursting through the front door, I saw Dad chatting with a group of uncles, including Uncle Jean, who'd later become a titan in the renewable energy industry. Our families used to be very close, but Guyi did so many things that deeply offended him, which eventually led to cutting ties with our family. Yet he was the only one who still offered help after our family fell on hard times. I'll never forget how he rented an apartment for me when I'd lost everything, and even offered me a job. Seeing these familiar, vibrant faces again, I walked over with overwhelming excitement. Dad, Uncle Jean, Uncle Wang. Hello everyone. My dad's eyes lit up when he saw me return. Yuan. You're back so early today. I knew what he meant. Normally at this time, I'd be tailing Guyi like a lost puppy, either delivering takeout with him, working shifts at the cafe, or accompanying him to the hospital to care for his mom with kidney failure. What a pathetic simp through and through. Thank goodness I see things clearly now. I grinned at my dad. Just missed you, that's all. Wanted to come back early to see you. Been waiting for ages, I murmured to myself. My father's smile widened when he heard me say that. Alright then, if that's how you feel, I'll come home earlier from now on. Isn't our home cozier than those coffee shops or hospitals? I wholeheartedly agreed and responded loudly, yeah. Uncle Jean smiled at me, greeted me, and then asked how school life was treating me and how my studies were going. After chatting with me for a bit, he got down to business with my dad. Hey Lao Lin, are you familiar with this new energy sector? I reckon it's going to be a goldmine in the future. The government's already prioritizing environmental issues, and internationally it's becoming a major trend. Turns out Uncle Zhang was approaching my dad about a new energy project collaboration. Oh my god, how did I not know about this in my past life? This is the next big thing that's gonna skyrocket and make a killing. You know Elon Musk, the world's richest man. He started with electric vehicles. If my dad had joined this project, we'd be holding Uncle Zhang's company shares at ground level. With that kind of security, who needs to worry about schemes? We could retire tomorrow and live comfortably for generations. Uncle Zhang actually invited Dad to join this early. No way we're turning this down. After Uncle Zhang finished speaking, I stared at Dad expectantly. I kept making exaggerated facial expressions, practically itching to say yes for him. I waited and waited, only to see my dad looking up at the sky one moment and down at the ground the next, putting on this thoughtful expression. But he just wouldn't say yes. After what felt like forever, he finally spoke hesitantly. Truth is, I don't know much about this new energy stuff, but when it comes to driving, I prefer gas cars. You step on the gas and boom, you're off. I think people will still rely on gas cars in the future, so I'm not really interested in this project. My heart sank as I suddenly remembered my dad's overly cautious nature. No way, our Lin family must be part of this project. With that thought, I grabbed old Lin by the arm. Uncles, please make yourselves comfortable. I need to discuss something with Dad. We'll be right back. My father followed me into the study, completely baffled. I closed the door, turned around and said to my father with grave concern, Old Lin, don't be so ridiculous, my dad. I continued. Renewable energy is the next big thing. It's going to be huge in the future. My dad dismissed it outright. What does a student like you know? Don't get scammed. Yuan. We can't just throw away the family's money like that. That's your dowry I've been saving up for you. My father's words hit me right in the feels. He said the exact same thing in my past life. True to his word, he handed over everything without hesitation after I married Guyi. Too bad I misplaced my trust in that snake Guyi and lost everything. This lifetime, I'll be the one to protect our family. I turned away to quickly wipe the tears from my eyes, steadying myself before saying, Dad, how do you know I don't understand? I'm studying finance. I'm learning the most cutting-edge knowledge there is. Let me tell you, our dean is an absolute titan in the industry. During his lectures, he shared insights from his international research trips and macroeconomic policy analysis. The future of our nation's market belongs to renewable energy. You absolutely must invest in Uncle Zhang's project. This opportunity can't be missed. My words were half-truths, but Dad bought it completely. His eyes sparkled as he said with relief, Yuan, you've grown up. Alright, we'll follow your investment plan. I always thought you were fooling around at school, just chasing after that boy Guyi. Turns out you actually had a good head on your shoulders. Now I can rest easy. You can rest easy now, Dad. I'll never let love cloud my judgment again. After stepping out, my father immediately agreed to invest in Uncle Zhang's project, moving him and the other uncles who came along to tears. Uncle Zhang was nearly brought to tears. Turns out they've already hit countless roadblocks. The new energy sector is still an emerging industry domestically, with limited public awareness making investment extremely challenging. But their company is now at a critical R&D phase. If funding falls through, development would be delayed by at least 2 years. Now my father's willing to come on board. This will significantly accelerate the project's progress. It finally clicked. No wonder Uncle Zhang's rise to success took so long in his previous life, though it didn't stop him from becoming a future titan in renewable energy. I heard he endured several tough years. With me joining now, he'll probably achieve success much faster. Then our Lin family could make even more money, right? After wrapping up the discussion, Uncle Zhang and his group prepared to take their leave. As I saw them out, I suddenly remembered Gu Wanwan was still waiting for me outside. I also noticed the drivers accompanying Uncle Zhang's group. Burly men with fists so large they looked capable of knocking out someone like Wanwan with a single punch. Suddenly, a brilliant idea struck me. I asked, Uncles, do you have plans later? As soon as I stepped out the gate, Gu Wanwan immediately started complaining. Lin Yuan, took you long enough to fetch something. Did you do this on purpose? Thinking of my upcoming plan, I replied patiently, not at all. Just got held up with some family matters. Seeing my agreeable attitude, Gu Wanwan flashed a look of disdain. Fine. I'll graciously forgive you this time, but don't let it happen again, or I won't put in a good word for you with my brother anymore. Me, /O, I really appreciate that, Gu Wanwan nodded approvingly and extended her hand with practiced ease, where's my diamond necklace, just listen to that, just like that, it became hers. How stupid was I in my past life to spoil her rotten like this. Thank goodness I've finally come to my senses. I shook my head. When I went back to look for it, I realized my mom took the diamond necklace. You know she's abroad right now, Gu Wanwan immediately protested. Then what am I supposed to do? I don't care, I already promised my friends I'd wear that necklace to the gala. That diamond necklace belongs to me, you owe me, and you'd better figure out how to make it right. Gu Wanwan had perfected the art of twisted logic. If I didn't give her what was mine, suddenly it became something I owed her, and she would absolutely come to collect later. She was like this in her past life too. And I often found her petty behavior quite off-putting, but back then, I dismissed it since she was Guya's younger sister and just a kid. I'd always put her first and tried my best to accommodate her, yet despite treating her so well, she still looked down on me. After Guyi ruined my life and I was about to jump off the building, she stood below laughing and clapping, urging me to hurry up so I wouldn't waste her time. Suppressing my rage, I forced a smile and said, "Got it. I'll figure something out for you." Gu Wanwan finally quieted down a little. "What's the plan then?" I flashed a mysterious smile. "It's a surprise, you'll find out soon. I'm actually heading to your place now. I'll tell you when I get there." Gu Wanwan lifted her chin haughtily, giving me a disdainful look. "Fine, I knew you'd go apologize to my brother. I'll accompany you back and put in a good word. But the surprise later better not be less impressive than your diamond necklace." I nodded earnestly. "Don't worry about that, absolutely not, Gu Wanwan. This surprise will be so monumental you'll remember it for life." Yuan, where are you two headed? Just as Gu Wanwan and I were about to head back to her place, Uncle Zhang and several other middle-aged men drove out of our courtyard in 5 luxury cars. These uncles were all corporate executives, each behind the wheel of a premium vehicle. Wanwan's eyes nearly popped out of her head at the sight. I chuckled. "Uncle Zhang. I'm just going to hang out at my classmate's place," Uncle Zhang said warmly. "Perfect timing, let me give you a ride." Before I could respond, Gu Wanwan swung open the car door and plopped into the seat, putting on a sugary voice. "Come on, Lin Yuan, this guy is so nice." Well, didn't expect Gu Wanwan to play along so well. I didn't even need to act. Calling him brother, I address Zhang as uncle, while she calls him brother. How shameless can one be? I clenched my fists tightly to keep from vomiting up yesterday's dinner. Gu Wanwan kept trying to cozy up to Uncle Zhang along the way, but he completely ignored her. Already knowing her true colors, poor me, had to endure that stinking fox odor the whole way. Their family lived in the shabbiest little bungalow in our entire city, and even that was rented. They'll never qualify for any future urban redevelopment projects. After navigating the endless alleyways, we finally reached the Gu residence. Exchanging a knowing glance with Uncle Zhang, I stepped out of the car. The moment I stepped off the bus and steadied myself, I saw Guyi returning at the same time. Guyi noticed me and lifted his chin slightly. The boy kept his eyes downcast, their expression unreadable, lending him an air of quiet melancholy. Truth be told, he was genuinely handsome. Back then, I was completely hooked on those cheesy idol dramas and fell head over heels for brooding bad boys like him. That damn pretty face and his faux melancholic act had me completely spellbound in my younger days. Pity that beneath that polished exterior lurked the heart of an ungrateful, scheming bastard. Me, in our past life, he owed me countless favors. I paid for his education when he couldn't afford it, bankrolled his sister's lavish lifestyle, and even covered his mother's kidney transplant for her uremia. When he graduated and wanted to start a business, I was the investor. Hell, I even offered my entire Lin family fortune as his startup capital. His first move after making it big, stabbing my whole family in the back. He said he was sick of being looked down on, sick of people calling him a gold digger or a pretty boy, even more sick of how my parents looked down on him when he was young. Looked down on him. What he calls my parents looking down on him was just them telling him at our wedding to treat me right, or else, yet he turned out to be spineless. Nursing grudges over these very matters, he destroyed our Lin family, killed my parents, and ultimately drove me to my death. Guya's smug, twisted face from my past life gradually merged with his youthful visage before me. He glanced at me, frowned slightly, then wordlessly opened his door and stepped inside. He didn't close the door, turning back to Gu Wanwan and saying, "Don't bring every stray and riffraff into our home from now on." Gu Wanwan shot me a glare and snapped. Look what you've done to my brother, hurry up and go apologize. Watching their little performance, I couldn't help but sneer inwardly. Just like in my past life, they were at it again with their good cop, bad cop routine, manipulating me through subtle psychological games to force an apology. I rolled my eyes hard and pushed the door open. To my surprise, Guya's mother was inside too, of course, without my money. She'd never afford that hospital stay. The moment I entered, her bulging fish-like eyes welled up with tears, making them look even more swollen. Yuan dear, Auntie knows you look down on our family. It's my illness that's burdening you all. I won't get treatment anymore. I just won't. I'm begging you. Please don't reject he's a good boy. The way you treated him at school today, it breaks my heart. I've lived half my life. If I die, so be it, but you're still young. As long as you treat right, I'll make sure he marries you. Guyi quickly interjected, Mom, what are you talking about? Of course we'll get you treated. I'll make sure of it. And why are you begging her? I'd never marry such a vicious, petty woman. I couldn't be bothered watching their act, my eyes thoroughly scanning every corner of the house instead. The TV, washing machine, fridge, all these appliances were things I'd bought for them when visiting Guyi, seeing how destitute their home was. I even bought the sofa and coffee table in their living room, the computer, bed, gaming console, desk, keyboard, and sneakers in Guya's bedroom, all gifts from me. Every single dress, bag, makeup item, and piece of jewelry in Gu Wanwan's room came from me too. What was I thinking, spending all that money on them? No way, I'm taking everything with me. When I remained silent, Guya's mother looked up, shot me a glance and said, This child's temper has grown worse, won't even acknowledge us now. Fine then, I'll just go die. Guyi, Mom, don't be upset. I'll make her kneel and apologize to you. Lin Yuan, get over here and kneel right now. I turned my head, narrowing my eyes dangerously at Guyi before shifting my glare to his mother. That damned old hag's chunky gold bracelet and the gaudy necklace around her neck, I paid for those too. When I offered her other gifts, she turned up her nose, claiming she only liked gold because it pleased her eyes. Right, mustn't forget these. I'll take everything back later. Seeing my continued silence, Guyi and his mother exchanged uneasy glances. They seemed uncertain about me now. In the past, their usual tactics would have had me groveling with elaborate apologies by now. What changed this time? Guyi cleared his throat with an air of martyrdom and conceded, Lin Yuan. If you don't want to kneel, fine, but you'll have to publicly clear my name at school. Just make a post on the school forum saying you were heartbroken and mentally unstable when you slandered me with those ridiculous accusations. Do that, and I might reluctantly agree to be your boyfriend temporarily, but if you keep acting up like this, I'll dump you immediately. His condescending, patronizing attitude made me sick to my stomach. Is he out of his mind? And he still thinks so highly of himself. Has he lost his marbles? I rolled my eyes at Guyi and called out, Uncle Zhang, come on in. At my command, Uncle Zhang barged in with several other uncles and their burly drivers. Rolling up his sleeves, Uncle Zhang said, Yuan, just tell us what to do and we'll do it. Pointing around Guya's house, I declared, all this, that, and those, except for these useless good-for-nothings. Take it all away. I paid for everything. You got it. Many hands make light work. Once I gave the word, everyone started hauling stuff away. Guyi and the others were stunned, but his mother was the first to snap out of it, rushing out shouting, hands off. That's my washing machine, that's my TV, and my refrigerator. Put that down right now. Robbery. Someone call the police. Arrest these thieves. Watching Guya's mother rolling on the ground throwing a tantrum, I chuckled. You're absolutely certain all these things belong to you? Guya's mother froze. What are you implying? If they're not mine, then whose could they be? Murder, robbery. Won't someone stop these goddamn lawless bastards? I grabbed her wrist and yanked off the gold bracelet. This is mine too. Cry all you want. Call the cops if you must. I've got all the purchase records and receipts right here. Not even the heavens could change the fact that these belong to me. Holy crap, my solid gold bracelet. And this one's mine too. I yanked off Guya's damn necklace, my gold chain. Call the cops, arrest this thieving bitch. Gu Wanwan had been outside earlier, but now sensing something amiss, she rushed in. Seeing Uncle Zhang and others continuously hauling items out of her room, she shrieked like a stuck pig, Lin Yuan, you're dead. How could you do this? Didn't you promise to surprise me at my place? If this is how you act, I swear my brother will never forgive you. I retrieved the jewelry box Gu Wanwan had taken from me and inspected its contents. Thank goodness, everything's still here. Then right in front of Gu Wanwan, I slipped the jewelry box into my bag and flashed a toothy grin, saying, "That's my surprise for you, bet you're shocked and delighted, Lin Yuan, you tricked me, I'll kill you." Gu Wanwan lunged forward, only to be effortlessly scooped up by Uncle Zhang's driver. Where did this groundhog come from? Yapping in front of our young miss like that, seeing her daughter at a disadvantage, Gu Ye's mother stopped her tantrum and sprang up from the ground, shrieking toward the door, "Help, murder, robbery." Surprisingly, her screaming actually worked. Soon several bystanders who didn't know the full story came running, ready to intervene. Uncle Zhang said to them, "Best stay out of this, folks, we're just taking back what's rightfully ours. No violence, no harm done, yours, this is ours." Gu Ye's mother screamed, "Just because my son didn't want this little slut, refused to date her, she sent thugs to rob us, lock her up and throw away the key." I couldn't help but laugh when I heard that. "Rob you? Every single item here was bought with my money. I've got all the receipts to prove it. What about you? Got anything to say? Spreading rumors takes no effort. How about I countersue you for stealing my stuff? You realize how many years that'd land you in prison?" Gu Ye's mother froze, caught off guard by my sharp tongue. She was at a complete loss for words. Gu Ye stood with his head bowed in silence, lost in thought, when a booming male voice rang out from the crowd. "Gu Ye, didn't you say your father passed away long ago? Your mother's unemployed and constantly hospitalized with medical bills, while you and your sister are still in school. I always wondered how your dirt poor family could afford gold jewelry and designer clothes every day. Turns out you're living off sugar mamas." The crowd erupted in jeers at this remark. Those who had considered stepping in to help now quietly retreated. "How dare you freeload with such entitlement?" I turned to see the speaker, a familiar face, Zhang Heng, Gu Ye's childhood nemesis. Back in my past life when I came looking for Gu Ye, I'd often run into him. Whenever he saw us together, he'd always make snide remarks at Gu Ye. Gu Ye kept badmouthing him in front of me. And gradually I stopped even greeting him when we crossed paths. Looking back now, I realized that person was actually trying to enlighten me, but my love-struck brain couldn't comprehend a single word. I gave him a grateful smile and went back to supervising the movers. As for Gu Ye, probably too humiliated to speak, he didn't utter a single word throughout the entire moving process. He only shot me a resentful glare when I took his laptop, muttering through gritted teeth, "Lin Yuan. I know you did this on purpose just to get my attention, but I'll never forgive you." "Me? Then don't. See ya. Wouldn't wanna be ya. Don't you dare come near me ever again." Moving the stuff back finally eased some of that pent-up frustration in my chest. After video calling my dearest mother from bed at night, I was just about to get my beauty sleep, then Gu Ye's call came through. "Damn nuisance, like I'd ever answer your call." I immediately hung up again. Then went ahead and blocked them for good measure. Just as I was about to fall asleep, the phone rang again. It was an unknown number. Hesitating for a moment, I answered. "Lin Yuan, are you serious? You actually changed the passcode for Jincheng Garden too?" It instantly dawned on me that the person across from me was Gu Ye. Jincheng Garden is an upscale residential complex near campus that I lent to Gu Ye. His frantic yelling probably meant Uncle Wu changed the door code and locked him out. Their place is completely empty now except for the bed. "So now you remember my big house. Bet you didn't expect me to be this thorough. Jincheng Garden is mine. I'll make changes as I please. Since when do I need your permission?" Gu Ye nearly choked on my words. But my things are still in your house," I yawned. "You mean those 2 towels and toothbrush of yours? I've already had them packed and left at the security booth. Don't forget to pick them up later. Except for those, everything else was bought with my money. I'm donating all of it." "He's not getting a single thing." Gu Ye's ragged breathing came through the receiver. "Fine, just fine, Lin Yuan, you can hound me to death for all I care. I don't love you and never will, we'll never be together." Beep. I mercilessly ended the call, another contact permanently blocked, then left instructions with Jincheng Garden's property management to bar Gu Ye from entering the premises henceforth. Seems Gu Ye still doesn't get it. I genuinely don't love him anymore, so none of his tricks work on me now. Yes, back on campus, Gu Ye was absent the next day. I knew this would happen. He's so concerned about saving face after this epic humiliation, he'll probably lay low for days before showing up again. With Gu Ye's constant nagging out of my ear, I've actually grown to enjoy studying more. Since our family's collaborating with Uncle Zhang on this new energy project, I had my dad pull some strings to get me into the dean's research team. He's been dedicated to new energy battery R&D and is literally the cream of the crop in this industry, and I know he'll definitely succeed in the future. When I joined the project team, I unexpectedly ran into Zhang Heng, Guye's archrival. That outspoken and principled young man, after getting to know him over these past few days, I realized he's even better than I remembered from my past life, hardworking, eager to learn, and an upright person with nothing to hide. Like Guyi, he came from a poor family. In fact, his circumstances were even worse, yet he never tried to hide it. To save money, he often ate the most basic meals. Knowing how things would end for him, I'd always bring back 2 extra dishes. He'd thank me graciously for the kindness without any pretense, never misinterpreting intentions. There wasn't a trace of Guye's usual awkwardness. Seeming to notice my confusion, he declared cheerfully, "Classmate Lin, I'm no ingrate. Zhang Heng here knows how to spell gratitude." That drew a laugh from me. For every ungrateful wretch in this world, there's someone who remembers kindness. What's there to fear about being poor? With hard work, circumstances will eventually change. But if someone's spirit is impoverished, they'll never improve their lot in life. Zhang Heng, his spirit isn't poor. Someone like him will go far in life. He nearly made it big in his past endeavors. Guyi actually told me this story as if it were some joke. He mentioned that Zhang Heng had developed the core technology for new energy batteries and even secured the patent. He was on the verge of joining the tech elite and breaking class barriers. Who would have thought that scrimping on meals in his youth to save money would lead to stomach cancer and an early departure? I'm no saint, but I'd gladly lend a helping hand to someone like him. After talking with Zhang Heng, I decided to sponsor him. The condition is that if his project ever succeeds, he must prioritize collaboration with our Lin Corporation. The terms sound a bit harsh. The future value of his project pales in comparison to this modest funding. To my surprise, Zhang Heng accepted without hesitation. Zhang Heng grinned and said, "I know the difference between a single feast and steady meals. With Miss Lin around, I'll never go hungry. This deal's a win for me. What capitalist gives me 2 health checkups a year and feeds me this well every day? I'm sticking with you as my boss." Just when everything was going smoothly for me, Guyi suddenly returned. With him came the 5 million yuan new energy R&D project he'd secured. I narrowed my eyes watching him bask in the spotlight while embracing Jiang Xingyue in the crowd. I'm absolutely certain Guyi has returned too. How wonderful. I might go easy on the 18-year-old Guyi, but I won't show any mercy to the 38-year-old version. Guyi has once again become the dazzling golden boy everyone admires. All those stains on his reputation were completely washed away by the emergence of this project he brought. His sights were also set on the new energy market. Having lived through this before, we all knew how dazzling this sector would become in the future. What took me by surprise was that Zhang Heng was also his target. Zhang Heng wouldn't give someone like him the time of day. Zhang Heng often mocked his advances in the lab, treating them as a running joke among us. The investment Guyi secured came from Uncle Zhang's sworn rival. He leveraged knowledge and experience from his past life to convince them to invest. Little did he know, I'd already blocked his path in the new energy sector. After repeated rejections from Zhang Heng, a desperate Guyi came to me. "Lin Yuan, you're back too, aren't you?" Guyi seized the moment when I was alone and called out to me. I gave him a weird look. "What the hell are you barking about?" Guyi's face darkened. "So it really wasn't you?" I rolled my eyes. "If I'm not me, then I must be your mom." As if I'd raised such an ungrateful brat. "Since when did you become so vulgar?" "My tenderness isn't for people I despise." "Ugh, get lost, what a disgusting creature." Guyi stormed off after I successfully pissed him off, trying to probe my weaknesses. Dream on. 5 million may seem like a lot, but it's nowhere near enough to fund new energy R&D. But Guyi remained optimistic. After all, he'd built a successful business in his past life, with 2 lifetimes worth of wisdom. He refused to believe failure was even possible. I shook my head with amusement while reading the private investigator's report. "Guyi, you're never going to make it. Without the Lin family's support, who else would provide you with such abundant resources? Your arrogance will be your downfall sooner or later. All I need to do is add fuel to the fire." Guyi blew through his 5 million much faster than he'd anticipated. It's a shame that after all this time, he still hasn't even secured a proper expert R&D team. There's no way his investors would pour more money into this. He's been hustling for investments everywhere, only to find fundraising way tougher than he'd imagined. Why is this so hard? It was a piece of cake in my past life. I couldn't help but chuckle at all the juicy gossip about Guyi circulating around, because without the Lin family son-in-law as your golden ticket, you wouldn't even get past their front gate. All that smooth sailing in your past life, that was all thanks to us, Guyi. Failing to secure funding, started scheming against me again. Who knows what was going through his mind? He kept posing dramatically in front of me, tilting his head at a 45-degree angle to show off his chiseled jawline. Too bad in the eyes of someone who's sworn off love like me, he's just worthless trash. Zhang Heng and I were in the same project team. Every time Guyi acted up, he'd be right by my side. Over time, Guyi finally couldn't hold back anymore. He sneered at Zhang Heng. TCH, pathetic freeloader. This was the title Guyi hated most in his past life. To him, those words cut deeper than any blade. He deliberately chose the most venomous words to wound Zhang Heng, but Zhang Heng wasn't like him at all. Zhang Heng met his gaze and nodded. You're right, my teeth aren't what they used to be. I do prefer soft meals. Guyi froze. What did you say? Zhang Heng shouted. I said I love being a freeloader. I'm proud to be a kept man. Got that now, you ungrateful bastard. Unlike some hypocrites who mooch with attitude, playing both sides, Guyi stood thunderstruck. He'd never seen anyone accept that title with such ease. Shouldn't men care about saving face? Too bad Zhang Heng had no intention of being his life coach. Seeing his dumbstruck expression, he just grabbed my arm and left. But my retreat was halted by an arm suddenly blocking my path. Lin Yuan, why? Guyi grabbed my arm and asked in confusion, why did you suddenly stop liking me? But Zhang Heng is just as poor as I am. I removed Guyi's hand and said deliberately, who do you think you are to question me? And you're nothing alike. Zhang Heng may be poor, but he's rich in spirit. I turned and walked away without another word. He tried to follow, but Zhang Heng firmly blocked his path. He's not worthy. A scumbag like Guyi doesn't even deserve to be near me without my love propping him up. Guyi eventually secured the investment. The backer claimed to be an angel investor. Me, // he wanted to check their credentials, but they turned hostile and threatened to pull the funding. Guyi immediately backed off, signed a stack of agreements, and pocketed their 2 million yuan. When I saw this update from the private investigator, I nearly laughed myself to tears. Guyi, you take money from strangers without even vetting them. Desperation really makes people do crazy things. He's so desperate for success that he'll take any money, no matter the source, just like me in my past life. Back then I was seeking revenge, finally got a project going, but Guyi feared my success would lead to payback, so he set this whole trap to screw me over. The project failed to meet the deadline, and now I owe them an astronomical penalty, 100 million. I could never repay this in my lifetime. The only currency I have left is my life. Now, Guyi, it's time to repay me with your life. Guyi failed. He owed them 300 million, then he vanished into thin air. Everyone thought he was dead, but not me. A scumbag like him clings to life harder than anyone. On Mid-Autumn Festival that day, our entire school had a day off. After dining out with my parents, we spotted Guyi sitting at the villa's entrance when we returned. He looked disheveled with stubble, like a drowned rat. When he saw our car approaching, he lunged headfirst toward it, giving Uncle Wu such a fright he nearly had a heart attack. As soon as the car stopped, my furious father stormed out and gave Guyi a proper scolding, but when he got a clear look at Guyi's eyes, he was startled. They were bloodshot red, as if about to bleed. Guyi looked at my father and mother, smiled faintly, then laughed until tears welled up. You've come to take my life, haven't you? Yes, in our past life, I was the one who tampered with your car. Serves you right. You two old bastards for looking down on me. My parents stared at me, their faces frozen in horror. Where did this lunatic come from? I quietly picked up my phone and dialed a number. Guyi suddenly looked up at me. It was you, wasn't it? You've been reborn too, haven't you? You're here for revenge. I smiled without answering. Want to know the truth? I'm just not telling you. Why should you die with clarity? You deserve to perish in miserable confusion. Your silence means nothing. I know it's you. Guyi screamed like a madman. This whole trap was custom made for me, wasn't it? Every single step, all you're doing. I used this very method to kill you back then. Now you're returning the favor. I let you owe 100 million, and you make me owe 300 million in return. You vile creature. How can you be so vicious, so damn hard to kill? I'll end you. Guyi's eyes flashed with murderous intent as he pulled out a knife and swung it at me. My parents rushed forward in a panic, trying to shield me from the fatal blow. So what happened? But But Guye's blade would never touch us again in this lifetime. The debt collectors were lying in wait near our home. I was the one who tipped them off. Because I knew he'd come looking for me. They arrived before Guye could grab the knife, and he was apprehended. Before they dragged him away, he was groveling on the ground like a dog, begging me, Yuan. Even a day as husband and wife brings a lifetime of kindness, please save me. I was wrong, I'm worse than scum, I showed no gratitude, I truly regret it now, I was wrong, so terribly wrong, please, save me. Watching Guye's wretched state, the last remnants of resentment in my heart dissolved completely. His fate will be far worse than mine in the previous life. In their hands, he won't even have the privilege of death, he'll live on, drowning in endless days and nights of crushing regret, until those people have squeezed every last drop of worth from him. Without another glance at Guye, I simply gestured for them to take him away. Even from a great distance, I could still hear Guye's agonized screams. My father leaned in curiously. Yuan, what nonsense was that Guye spouting? Something about marriage and killing us. Dad, he's talking nonsense. Why would you believe a lunatic? Of course not. Thank goodness you saw through him long ago. Imagine ending up with a madman for a son-in-law. Having a madman in the family would be disastrous. Thank heavens I saw the truth early in life. After Guye got arrested, his sister came looking for me once. She said their mom's uremia had worsened, and with Guye nowhere to be found, she had no choice but to come to me, her sister-in-law. Her entitled attitude pissed my mom off so much that she had someone kick her out. Then she pressed the property management to tighten security around our place. Don't just let any random riffraff in here. Guye's damn illness was really serious. After scraping together some money for hospitalization, his sister ran off with it all to buy luxury goods. Her mother died alone in that rented room, and the landlord just kept complaining about the bad luck. All this was told to me by Zhang Heng. I've long stopped paying attention to the Guy family's affairs. This is what becomes of them without me. In their past life, they climbed on my shoulders to glimpse a world beyond their reach. Yet in the end, they scorned the very ladder that lifted them. I'll have you know, without me as your golden ticket, you're not even worthy to look up at me. I respected your fate, yet this is what you amounted to. Thankfully, I've dodged these toxic people in my lifetime. Every day forward, I'll thrive and live my brilliant life to the fullest. Dear girls, love yourself before loving others, steer clear of toxic people, and embrace the beautiful life you deserve. Story 2, the day Jiang Che handed me over to that sadist, I didn't cry or make a scene. When he came to retrieve me the next day, all he found was a cold corpse. He broke down laughing and crying like a madman. After all that commotion, gently placing my lifeless body into the car, they drove straight into the ocean. When my eyes opened again, I found myself back 10 years in the past, destitute and disheveled. He stared at me with eyes burning with desperate intensity, cold and detached. I turned and walked right past him, never glanced his way again. Just like in my past life, one glance told me this youth would rise to dazzling fortune, but this time, I had no intention of keeping him. When you, he shouted urgently, the voice seemed to traverse a century. I froze mid-step. My body locking up, Assistant Xiao snapped, how dare you address President Liu so casually, get out of here now. He stood there stubbornly, deaf to my words, staring at me unblinkingly. There's always been an insurmountable chasm between us, both then and now, in our past life. He tried desperately to bridge the gap between us by tormenting me relentlessly, yet my unyielding pride refuses to bend. In the end, it broke nonetheless. When, President Liu, please give me this chance, I'll take Lu Hua to greater heights. He repeated those same words again, word for word, yet I didn't turn back, even knowing his ambitions reached beyond the heavens. His mind ran deeper than the ocean, and he wielded ruthless methods without hesitation, and I knew his words held truth. After Jiang took over from Lu Hua, the family not only changed their surname but grew significantly more powerful. I know all too well, he repeated that very address 100 times by my lifeless corpse, just like now, hearing it only turns my stomach. This means, he's returned too. No need, Lu Hua isn't right for you. I walked away without another glance, yet could feel his scorching gaze burning into my back like needles. Humiliating memories from my past life came flooding back, clenching my trembling body. I straightened my spine and walked away step by step, back in my office. I suddenly realized my back was drenched in cold sweat. I'm certain now, Jiang Che has also been reborn. Will he ruin Lu Hua again and humiliate me like he did in our past life? I'm not sure, But this time I'll never give him another chance. Jiang Che's parents' company was unfortunately eliminated in the industry competition. His father couldn't take it and took his own life. His mother passed away soon after from overwhelming grief. Jiang Che became an orphan at a young age. He blamed all his misfortunes on Luhua Corporation, vowing to destroy it by any means necessary. After dropping out of school, he deliberately joined Luhua as a salesperson, starting from the bottom. Eventually, he single-handedly accounted for 70% of the company's sales, becoming my father's most trusted right-hand man. Then they colluded with outsiders to bankrupt Luhua Group, becoming its largest creditor. The shock gave my father a heart attack, leaving him paralyzed in the hospital, and I was forced to shoulder the debt alone. Fair competition is inevitable in business. Luhua did nothing wrong. Had he played fair to edge out Luhua, I might have respected him for it, but resorting to underhanded tricks to frame us, that's utterly unforgivable. This lifetime, I'll steer clear of that rabid dog Jiang Che no matter what. 3. With Jiang Che's rebirth and capabilities, he'll inevitably rise to the top, whether at Luhua or elsewhere, and it'll happen even faster than in my past life. He won't let me off that easily. I went to see Chen Yi, the marriage candidate my father had chosen for me. Back then, I was strongly against arranged marriages, believing true love should be found with someone compatible. That's why I always kept Chen Yi at arm's length. He later became Jiang Che's sworn rival, saving me from dire straits multiple times, even pleading desperately to take me away. Back then, I already felt unworthy of him and pushed him away harshly. Now, gazing at his youthful, handsome face before me, I can't help but sigh. Why couldn't I recognize the longing in his eyes back then? Instead, I fell for that madman Jiang Che. Jiang Che probably never knew I once had feelings for him, not even till his dying day. That secret affection vanished when he mercilessly trampled me into the mud, believing total domination was the only way to possess me. Unlike Jiang Che's rugged masculinity, Chen Yi had an androgynous beauty. Those slightly upturned peach blossom eyes made him seem like a natural flirt. Only later did I realize he was actually deeply devoted to one person. The butler mentioned you. You were looking for me. He seemed to have rushed over, his breathing slightly uneven, yet he feigned perfect composure in my presence, with his head slightly bowed. Those peach blossom eyes, tinged red at the corners, held an unconscious allure. I stared at him for a long moment. Only when he shifted uncomfortably did I finally speak. Uncle Chen mentioned you're an excellent pianist. Would you teach me? Chen Yi's father and mine were lifelong friends, so our families arranged our betrothal years ago, but I've always resented this arranged marriage and made my refusal clear. In my past life, I'd hardly ever visited Chen Yi's home. He must have been quite curious about my sudden visit. Chen Yi learned piano abroad and had just returned from studying overseas, preparing to take over the family business. Meanwhile, I couldn't bear seeing my father struggle alone, so I started managing the company at a young age. His smile blossomed across his face, radiant and captivating, of course, truly wonderful. I came to him with a clean slate. He still had feelings for me. 4. The melodious music played all afternoon in the Chen family villa's piano room. A magpie perched on my windowsill for the longest time. We talked about everything under the sun, from literature to politics, as if we'd known each other for years, though we'd just met. The thought of marriage suddenly crossed my mind. Maybe marrying him sooner rather than later wouldn't be such a bad idea. Dad will be over the moon when he hears this. He never misses a chance to sing Chen Yi's praises to me. That's exactly what he wanted, isn't it? As for Chen Yi's opinion, look at that adorable blush still lingering on his face, speaking so gently, as if raising his voice might startle me. I suppose that means he's willing. Let's join forces sooner to weather the storms that may come. I couldn't wait to get home and discuss this with Dad, so I politely declined Chen Yi's invitation to stay for dinner. Under his wistful gaze, I walked toward the gate, took 2 steps, then turned back and dashed to his side, planting a quick kiss on his cheek before he could react, then scurrying away. God, I'm so bold. By the time I reached my doorstep, my face was still burning. Stepping out of the car, I pressed my burning cheeks, wondering how I'd explain to Dad about suddenly falling for Chen Yi and insisting on marrying him right away. When you, that nightmare of a voice echoed again, a figure emerged abruptly from the shadows by the doorway. In the darkness, those piercing eyes stared straight at me. You've come back too, haven't you? 5. I'd imagined countless times what it would be like to see Jiang Che again. Should I strangle him, scream at him, or demand to know why he treated me this way? Yet when facing him alone again, I found myself pitying him more than anything. The answer was painfully obvious: a petty man who'd groveled as another's lapdog, yet refused to treat others as human. I've nothing left to say to him. I steadied my nerves, took a deep breath, and raised my chin to meet the person's gaze. You're the one who interviewed today. Sorry, you've already been rejected. Coming here now won't change anything. If I were you, I'd try my luck elsewhere instead of wasting time with this desperate persistence. When you don't have the right to address me so familiarly. Throwing yourself at someone like this is downright disgusting. That pretty face of yours is the only decent thing about you, otherwise, you're completely worthless. I suggest you drop this nonsense and leave before I call security. He fell silent and took several more steps toward me. His eyes burned with predatory intensity: remorse, anguish, regret, resignation, hope, everything but acceptance or surrender. I held my ground, meeting his gaze without flinching. What? Are you trying to force a deal? I already told you I'm not interested. When you... He gripped my arms tightly and pleaded urgently. I'll rise to the top and stand by your side. Wait for me, okay? His touch made me physically uncomfortable. Before I could pull away, a pair of strong hands yanked me into an embrace. Who the hell are you? How dare you lay hands on my woman? The comforting scent of sandalwood instantly eased my frayed nerves. Looking up, I saw Chinyi's sharply defined jawline. Those once tender eyes now glimmered with frost. Only I stand as her equal. What right do you have to compare? Jianche narrowed his eyes and growled. Let her go. I wrapped my arms around Chinyi's waist and spat coldly. You're the one who should leave. He's my fiancé. Who gave you the right to shout? Jianche staggered slightly, disbelief coloring his voice. You, when did you two get together? Impossible. There's no way you'd like him. I straightened up with a cold laugh. We're perfectly matched. Why shouldn't we be together? Who do you think you are? A man who can't even support himself has no right to question others. He took 2 steps back, eyes bloodshot, shaking his head in denial. No, this can't be. Then he murmured to himself, did I arrive too late? Chinny lowered his head and shot me a look. Who's this psycho? Just some lunatic. I asked him, why did you come here? A faint blush crept across his face. I meant to see you off, but by the time I realized, you'd already left, I was worried, so I followed you. By the time I realized, that took you long enough. I smiled wryly. Who was I to talk? My face was still burning when I stepped out of the car. Jianche watched us laughing without a care, veins bulging in his neck, his clenched fists trembling with rage until he finally snapped and charged at Chinny. I said let her go. Chinny pushed me aside and met Jianche's furious charge head-on, the 2 men immediately coming to blows. I never expected Jianche to be this unhinged. Roaring with a crimson face like a wounded beast, he mercilessly swung his fists at Chinny. Yet Chinny countered each blow with effortless precision, his strike swift and lethal. Jianche couldn't gain even a slight advantage. I urgently summoned the butler and several strong servants to restrain Jianche before calling the police. Dragged away by guards, he kept screaming, Wenyu, Lu Wenyu, you can't be with him, you belong to me. The butler and others exchanged bewildered glances. Where did this lunatic come from? Babbling about the young mistress being his. Who the hell does he think he is? I approached Chinny, gently touching his bruised face. I'm sorry, and thank you. He grasped my hand, his eyes glistening with emotion. Don't say those words again, I can't bear to hear them. Then, I paused before whispering, your face is swollen, it breaks my heart. 6. I remembered his plea in our past life as he knelt before my battered body. Come with me, please, this pain, it's tearing me apart. I shoved him away violently. Chinny, have you no shame? This is my choice. Who asked for your pity? Get the hell away from me. He buried his face in the crook of my neck, warm moisture seeping through as he pleaded wordlessly. My heart's breaking. I can't even breathe. Please don't do this. Okay. I tilted my head back, forcing the tears to stay unshed. I'm already in hell, and I won't drag you down with me. Just go, please. I know he's been cruel to you. Leave him. Of course he's cruel to me. He secretly imprisoned my paralyzed father. At the slightest provocation, he'd send debt collectors to torture him in shifts, filming the abuse to show me while delighting in watching me break down. He couldn't stand my pride, forcing me to entertain at drinking parties where those beasts molested me freely, all just to make me beg him, and when we returned, he'd vent his rage by tormenting me mercilessly. My body bears countless wounds, burns, lash marks, puncture wounds, bite marks, he said. I'll let you go if you just beg me and promise to be my dog forever. I never once bowed my head to him. Every time, he'd growl through gritted teeth, don't look at me with those eyes. Sometimes he'd beg me, please, don't look at me like that. Why do you always despise me no matter what I do? I'm supposed to be your master. He tormented me while destroying himself, descending into madness, yet all I could tell Chinny was, he treats me well, this is just our dynamic, don't you get it? You're nothing but a shameful homewrecker, I never want to see you again, that lunatic will lay hands on you, I'll take him down with me. 7. The held hand suddenly clenched tight, then relaxed, his upturned peach blossom eyes lowered. You, blow on it for me. I froze in shock, my face suddenly flushing red. Over there, Jiang Che started shouting again, Win you can't like him, Win you, if I don't like him, should I like a creep like you instead? Annoyed by his antics, I had the butler haul him off to the police station. As he left, he was still shouting furiously, Chinny, stay the hell away from her, you'll pay for this. How ridiculous, who does he think he is to say that? Just a rabid dog snapping at everything in sight. Chinny watched his retreating figure with a pensive expression, so he actually knows who I am. That's a complete lunatic, steer clear if you ever see him again. His gentle demeanor hardened as he said firmly, no way, he'll hurt you, I'll keep an eye on him. Though I'm a strong woman, even if I didn't want to drag him into this, my heart skipped a beat at this very moment. I had this impulsive urge to tie myself to him, seeking a safe harbor to rest my weary soul. You go home first, I'll watch you go, he said softly, gazing at me. Suddenly, my heart felt hollow. I said, come to my place. I'll put some ointment on that for you. He smiled, his amorous eyes crinkling like crescent moons. Better not, you. Uncle Lou would worry if he saw. Right. We shouldn't make Dad worry again. I turned away and walked back reluctantly. You. I turned around. He pointed to his other flushed cheek. You only kissed this side earlier. Me. 8. The relationship between the Chen and Lu families has reached new heights because of us. Dad couldn't bear to see me get married so young. So he told me to date first. This old man used to be dying for something to happen between me and Chenyi, but now that I'm getting married, he's having second thoughts. We've both become key executives at the company, swamped with work every day. No matter how late it got, Chenyi would always come downstairs to meet me. Life felt fulfilling and sweet, but Jiang Che's presence remained a thorn in my heart. To prevent a repeat of last time, Chenyi specifically assigned me several bodyguards. But I never saw Jiang Che again after that day. He got taken to the police station that day, did a few days in custody, and came out much more subdued. Chenyi mentioned he joined our rival company, Shiyuan, Shiyuan, his old pals. I need to rapidly expand the company until it becomes unshakable by anyone. After a long day's work, all my worries melt away the moment I lean into Chenyi's embrace. Sometimes I'd drift off to sleep in pure comfort. Chenyi would carry me inside without hesitation once I fell sound asleep. The nosy little old man pretended not to see anything. The next day, he pursed his lips and lectured me with mock seriousness. Young man, learn some moderation. He retired early, leaving the younger generation to slave away while he spent his days playing chess or golf with Chenyi's father, only occasionally checking on company affairs. Living the life of leisure, his rosy, plump cheeks stood in stark contrast to his gaunt appearance during his bedridden past life. Truly wonderful, everything's fine. 9. I saw Jiang Che again at a charity auction. He's regained his commanding presence. With his skills, it was only a matter of time before he climbed back up. Just didn't expect it to happen this fast. By his side was the young mistress of Zhiyuan, Su Bingyan. He wrapped up this woman with lightning speed. Su Bingyan's possessiveness toward Jiang Che was overwhelming. His rapid rise to power owed much to this Zhiyuan heiress's backing. Jiang Che had always known how to maximize gains with minimal effort. Arm in arm with Chenyi, I entered the venue and immediately spotted Jiang Che approaching. With a practiced smile, his sharp eyes lingered on our linked arms before remarking coolly, Lu Hua and Qingyu doing charity work. Since when do corporations like yours care about human suffering? Chenyi arched an elegant brow and fired back. Charity isn't exclusive to sanctimonious hypocrites like you. When we give, we don't plaster it everywhere for clout. Unlike your performative grandstanding, no wonder this guy took over Qingyu so quickly. His political maneuvering skills are top-notch. Already a seasoned operator, I glanced at Su Bingyan standing beside Jiang Che. The wariness and scrutiny in her eyes were unmistakable. Logically speaking, we've never crossed paths in this lifetime, and I've kept my distance from that lunatic. So where's this hostility coming from? Su Bingyan's gaze briefly met mine before shifting to Chenyi beside me, her defiant smirk practically reaching the heavens. Two second-rate companies daring to compare themselves to Zhiyuan. I suggest you broaden your horizons before making fools of yourselves. Jenny simply smiled and ignored her. Engaging with a woman who doesn't know her place is beneath one's dignity. No wonder Boss Zhiyuan has no successor with a daughter like that. Jian Che saw his chance and took control early. Su Bingyan is the classic dumb blonde, constantly being manipulated by Jian Che, yet her true nature is utterly vile. She couldn't stand me being close to Jian Che and subjected me to relentless verbal abuse. Once when Jian Che asked me to pour her water, she accidentally spilled it on her clothes while taking the cup. She flew into a rage on the spot, lifting her 10-centimeter stiletto heels and kicking me viciously in the abdomen. Su Bingyan put her full strength into it. The sharp pain nearly made me black out. Lounging in her leather chair, Jian Che sneered, "Hurry up and get on your knees to apologize to Bingyan." That excruciating pain haunted me for months. Even now, I can still feel a dull ache in my abdomen. Not wanting to see those two, I pulled Chenny into the venue. 10. Among today's auction items is a Ming Dynasty blue and white water-patterned porcelain bowl that I'd like to bid on as a birthday gift for my father. Glancing at the list, it's scheduled for later. The socialites exchanged pleasantries while awaiting the auction's commencement. An unshakable gaze clung to my back like a persistent shadow. I knew without looking. It was Jian Che. His stare was icy and slithering, like a venomous serpent lying in wait. Another gaze filled with seething hatred burned into me like scorching flames, threatening to reduce me to ashes. I frowned slightly. Chenny leaned down and asked, "Are you feeling unwell?" I shook my head, murmured a few words to him, then turned toward the restroom. "I'm genuinely feeling quite unwell. Jian Che and Su Bingyan are the last two people I want to see, yet these two just won't stop staring at me." The mirror reflected an elegant woman, radiant and vibrant. This is life at its most glorious. No one knows how deeply I cherish this hard-won life. For those I care about, I'll grow stronger. Suddenly, a strikingly seductive woman appeared in the mirror again. She crossed her arms, eyeing me with a scrutinizing gaze, her posture dripping with condescension. "What's your relationship with Jian Che?" Ignoring her, I casually pulled a tissue from the wall dispenser and meticulously wiped my hands. Su Bingyan arched her meticulously drawn brows and snapped impatiently, "I'm talking to you. Cat got your tongue." I turned around with a scoff. "Since when am I obligated to answer your questions? If it's about your man, go ask him instead of bothering me." Su Bingyan's chest heaved visibly. "Lu Hua, no, Lu Wenyu, right, you're already engaged yet still clinging to Jian Che. Is this how a proper young lady behaves? Even streetwalkers have more decency. How pathetic. Acting all innocent while being such a slut underneath. Does the young master of Qingyu know about this?" Picking up my bag by the sink, I gave her a pointed look. When a rabid dog barks at you, the wisest move is to walk away, not entertain its mindless yapping with arguments. Su Bingyan was still grinding her teeth in frustration when I left the restroom. When she finally caught on, she rushed after me and yelled furiously, "Who are you calling a dog?" I stepped back to keep my distance. "If you keep blocking my way, I'll call security." "Lu Wenyu, how dare you seduce my man and still act righteous?" "Fine, go ahead and call everyone over. Let's see who's truly shameless here. Which eye of yours saw me seducing your man? This is utterly ridiculous. Does she enjoy inventing imaginary enemies?" Su Bingyan snorted coldly, her distorted facial expression making her makeup appear unnaturally stiff. "Still playing innocent? Jian Che's phone is filled with your photos. At first I thought he downloaded them online. But turns out you actually exist. Who'd have thought the esteemed daughter of the Lu family would be such a shameless homewrecker? Disgusting." 11. She said Jian Che's phone was filled with my photos. My blood ran cold. That lunatic still wouldn't let me go. I'm certain I've never seen him before. Then it must be him. He probably hired a private investigator to tail me and took those photos when I let my guard down. A sudden chill ran down my spine. But this woman slinging mud in front of me was equally revolting. "Su Bingyan, aren't you just another pathetic gold digger? With all your wealth, you still can't keep a man. What a worthless piece of trash." "What did you just say?" she finally snapped, probably used to being pampered as the young mistress. Nobody had ever given her this brutal reality check before. "Tisk, I barely said anything, and you're already throwing a tantrum. Your ignorance and shallowness guarantee no man would ever take you seriously. Without Zhiyuan's protection, you're literal trash, the non-recyclable kind. I'll tear you apart." She lunged at me, hand raised to strike. I dodged sideways, but her long nails still grazed my neck. an instant sting that probably drew blood. Su Bingyan wasn't done, she shrieked and lunged at me again, claws out. I quickly grabbed her wrists. We tumbled into a messy scuffle. Su Bingyan was furious with me, her temper flaring as she swore to scar my face. Suddenly, I felt the weight lift off me. Su Bingyan was yanked to her feet. With a sharp crack, she was slapped without warning. The air hung heavy for several seconds. I stared blankly at the man before me, utterly bewildered. Jiang Che gazed at me vacantly. I'm sorry, this is my fault. I won't let her hurt you again. How utterly ruthless. You'd even hit your own mistress that hard. Su Bingyan stood frozen for a moment before shrieking in hysterical fury. Jiang Che, you actually hit me for her. I knew you two were screwing around. I won't let Dad go easy on you. I'll send this bitch straight to hell. I took out a compact mirror from my bag to check my reflection. A long finger mark stretched across my neck, already oozing blood. Whether in this life or the last, Su Bingyan always came at me with full force. 12. Just as Jiang Che tried to approach me, Chenny rushed over in haste. The moment he saw the scratches on my neck, understanding dawned. His peach blossom eyes turned dangerously cold as they locked onto that wretched couple. Let me get you cleaned up first. We'll settle this score later. I grabbed his arm. Don't bother. Then shot Su Bingyan a contemptuous look. What I need is a rabies vaccine. I'll settle my own scores. Su Bingyan's face darkened further as she screeched. Chenny, don't you know this woman's been cheating on you? She's not satisfied with just you. She's been secretly hooking up with Jiang Che behind your back, and you still treat this kind of woman like some treasure. Aren't you afraid of becoming the laughingstock of your entire company? Chenny glanced at Jiang Che with a sardonic smile. I believe the real laughingstock here should be Mr. Jiang. After all, having a girlfriend like you is nothing short of disgraceful. Jiang Che seemed completely unfazed, his unblinking eyes fixed intently on me. I slowly closed the distance between us. His breathing suddenly became ragged, a flush spread across his face, carrying an inexplicable anticipation. With my neck burning, I walked to his side with a faint smile, suddenly raised a hand and slapped Su Bingyan across the face, put every ounce of strength into it. The force sent her stumbling backward in disarray. Sigh, that felt satisfying. You scratch my neck, I slap your face, fair's fair. Then I turned around, shaking my stinging hand before returning to Chenyi's side. Chenyi lifted my hand and gently blew on it. Does it hurt? Next time, don't use your bare hands, grab something nearby instead. I gave a slight nod before we walked away hand in hand. Behind us, Jiang Che held the hysterical Su Bingyan while staring at me with inscrutable eyes. 13. The auction commenced. As items were successfully auctioned one after another, it finally came to the Ming Dynasty blue and white water pattern bowl my father adored. The auctioneer announced, a Wanli-era blue and white water pattern bowl from the Ming Dynasty, starting bid at 600,000. The bidders gradually raised their offers until the room fell silent at 1.5 million. My bid, 1.6 million. Auctioneer, 1.6 million going once, 1.6 million going twice. Someone raised their paddle again from the corner. Ah. That gentleman bids 2 million. Any further bids? I turned to see Jiang Chen sitting expressionless while Su Bingyan stared at me with defiant eyes. I raised my paddle again. 2.2 million. The gentleman bids 2.5 million. Seems he's determined to outbid me. Chenyi was about to raise his paddle again when I stopped him. This bid is for Uncle Lu. He can't outbid us. If we really went all out, we might not lose to Jiang Che. But this bowl has far exceeded its actual worth. I don't want to waste time on such meaningless things anymore. Chenyi held my hand with adoration in his eyes. If you're unwilling, I can get it for Uncle Lu through other channels. Going head to head with that lunatic Jiang Che clearly isn't wise. If he wants to burn money, that's his business. We gave up, but Chenyi kept raising the bid several more times, forcing Jiang Che to win the auction at a steep price of 4 million. In the end, Chenyi threw up his hands, shrugged, and put on an utterly innocent expression. I couldn't help but laugh. 14. As we were leaving the auction house, we ran into Jiang Che and his companion again at the entrance. Su Bingyan sneered at me with arrogant triumph. Lu Wenyu, not everything goes your way. Even if Lu Hua and Qingyu joined forces, you're no match for Zhi Yuan. The moment she finished speaking, Jiang Chen approached me holding the blue and white porcelain bowl he'd just auctioned. Zhi Yuan intends to align with Lu Hua and propose a long-term strategic partnership. Consider this antique a goodwill gift for Uncle Lu. What's your stance on this? Su Bingyan's mocking smile froze into a grotesque grimace. Jiang Che, what are you doing? Have you lost your mind? Why on earth should Zhiyuan surrender to Lu Hua? Jiang Che fixed me with an intense gaze, just like when he first came into my life in our past existence, always trying to win me over with little trinkets. He's involved in every aspect of my life, diligent at work and incredibly attentive in daily life. Whenever I feel slightly tired from work, he takes over everything, running around to handle all matters with perfect organization. The moment I cough, cold medicine appears on my desk within half an hour. When I casually mentioned I'm craving fish, an assortment of grilled fish would arrive at my office that very day. If I looked pale during my period, he'd immediately prepare brown sugar water and hand it to me. Hiking together, he could carry me all the way up the mountain without breaking a sweat, still smiling like it was nothing. He personally handles every single task, big or small, without ever complaining. He said, I genuinely enjoy doing these things. It brings me joy and fulfillment, spending time with someone like that, who wouldn't eventually fall for them. I thought he was an angel sent from heaven. Sadly, he was just a devil temporarily disguised as an angel. Once he got everything he wanted, the mask finally slipped. 15, not acceptable, I replied coldly and turned to leave. He blocked my path. There was a pleading look in his eyes. Even if we don't collaborate, please give this to Uncle Lou. I know it's his favorite. It's my sincere gesture. Chenny stepped in front of me. She's made her refusal clear. Is the prestigious head of Zhiyuan really going to resort to such pestering? Su Bingyan couldn't hold back either, lunging forward to snatch the auction item from Jiang Che's hands. This belongs to me. Why are you giving it to that bitch? Have you lost your damn mind? Jiang Che shot her an icy glare, and Su Bingyan immediately shut her mouth. Seems he's already got Zhiyuan completely under his thumb. He bypassed us and shoved the item into my driver's hands. The driver stared dumbfounded at the $4 million auction piece in his hands, completely at a loss. Miss, this is. I walked over and knocked the object out of the driver's grasp. In an instant, $4 million worth of Ming Dynasty porcelain shattered to pieces. Alright, no more second thoughts, let's go. I got into the car without looking back. Behind me, Su Bingyan's furious screams echoed. The security guard called out to the cleaning lady, hey, come clean up these broken bowls. 16, after the auction, both Chenny and I threw ourselves into hectic work, but recently, Qingyu has been plagued by nasty rumors. First, quality issues emerged in the newly developed project. Many homeowners reported severe quality defects in their newly purchased properties. Walls were riddled with cracks, floors leaked, and even exposed steel reinforcements were visible. These complaints made headlines as media outlets began extensive coverage. The so-called homeowners put on a convincing show of rustic sincerity on camera, winning public sympathy and sparking widespread condemnation of Qingyu as unscrupulous developers. People say these buildings went up without proper foundations. A year's construction was rushed into 6 months. Who could feel safe living in homes that'd collapse at the first earthquake? Can you guarantee this area won't have earthquakes for 70 years? Go ahead and buy if you're comfortable with it. Personally, I wouldn't dare. Later, someone secretly filmed inside Qingyu's sales office. Agents were discriminating against customers only accepting full cash payments, outright ignoring mortgage applicants who couldn't even get a glass of water. Amid the growing public outcry, Qingyu suddenly found itself at the center of a storm, becoming the target of widespread online condemnation. A wave of homebuyers who had purchased Qingyu properties rushed to cancel their contracts, flooding sales offices. Some even unfurled protest banners. Qingyu's stock plummeted repeatedly, wiping out hundreds of millions in market value within days. Qingyu faced its worst PR crisis in history. My hands were shaking with rage as I read these news reports. This has Jiang Che's fingerprints all over it. He's shifted his focus to targeting Chenny now. That lunatic has always played dirty. No other way he could have climbed to this position so quickly. I dragged Chenny down with me. I'm sorry. I buried my face in his palm. No matter what, Lu Hua stands with you through thick and thin. Chenny stroked my hair with an air of effortless calm. I told you never to use that word again. Don't worry, Qingyu won't go down that easily. 17. Meanwhile, Zhiyuan was thriving, securing the city's most valuable land plot for 2 billion. Zhiyuan's properties are once again offering a blanket 20% discount to lure customers with competitive pricing. Their developments sell out almost instantly. Every new building gets snapped up the moment it hits the market. Jiang Che's carefully crafted man-of-the-people smile keeps popping up on TV, earning him the title of the city's most eligible bachelor. Young, accomplished, and devastatingly handsome, He's skyrocketed to become the ultimate dream husband for countless young women. Beneath that sanctimonious facade lies a heart of shocking depravity. I've meticulously documented his misdeeds during this period: forced evictions, accidental killing of property owners, coercing families to declare the deaths as suicides, illegally raising private equity funds from civilians, amassing fortunes overnight to finance his side ventures, trafficking antiquities, money laundering, drug smuggling, black market deals. Any one of these could land him a decade behind bars. That's what he did in his past life, climbing the ranks this fast in this life. He's definitely up to no good. That's why I've had people tailing him all along. We may not have all the evidence yet, but the documents we've got are enough to land him in hot water. As I was leaving Chenyi's place and getting into the car, I suddenly ran into Jiang Che, who hadn't been seen for ages. Would you join me for some tea? He asked me tentatively. You can bring your bodyguards, I won't lay a finger on you. I turned to get in the car. Don't you want to know how I'll deal with Chenyi? This is just the beginning. All it takes is a cup of tea to make me back off. I froze mid-step. He coaxed persuasively, just at the tea house across the street. Won't take much of your time. With 4 bodyguards trailing me, he couldn't possibly pull anything. Since it concerned Chenyi, I was curious to see what trick he had up his sleeve. 18. The tea house was elegantly simple. A 2-story building I'd never noticed before. Didn't realize such a refined place had opened near my home. Jiang Che always kept his distance from me, and naturally, my bodyguards wouldn't let him get too close. The moment I stepped into the tea house, a seemingly refined middle-aged man approached and greeted. Mr. Jiang, we've been expecting you. I froze instantly. That man was nothing but a beast in human clothing. Calling him an animal would be giving him too much credit. He's nothing but a despicable piece of trash at his core. Jiang Chen exchanged pleasantries with him calmly. Director Liao, I forgot to mention, your gift is waiting upstairs. Please, after you. All the while, his eyes never left me. My whole body was tense, my teeth chattering uncontrollably as I struggled to hide any sign of distress from him. Liao Hai's lecherous gaze swept over me, his yellowish, murky eyes rolling obscenely as he teased Jiang Che. You've got quite the catch here. Absolute top-shelf material. Jiang Che patted his shoulder. Director Liao, if we don't go up now, people will start getting impatient. Right, I'm heading up now. He brushed past me with booming laughter, the very gust of wind he stirred making me nauseous. I couldn't hold back anymore, gripping the table as dry heaves racked my body. Jiang Che moved to approach me, but I snapped sharply, don't you dare touch me. His eyes glistened with unshed words, a silent storm of unspoken emotions. Is it really you? Did you come back too? I steadied my breathing as sudden realization dawned. This tea invitation was Jiang Che's ploy all along, to test if I'd been reborn. He brought that sadist from our past life to gauge my reaction. Jiang Che, you make me absolutely sick. He stretched out his hands, pleading urgently. I had no choice. You've been avoiding me like the plague, and I don't understand why everything changed when we were so close in our past life. You clearly don't like that Chenyi. Yet you keep hurting me for his sake. I can't tell if you've also been reborn, but I know you hate me. Yet in this life, I've never harmed you. I've realized my mistakes. Can we start over? I won't lay a finger on you ever again, won't hurt me again. I let out a cold laugh. Jiang Che, you've seen my corpse, you knew exactly how he treated me, yet you still conspired with him, even brought him here to test me. How dare you ask for my forgiveness? He suddenly dropped to his knees. His face twisted in anguish. I had no other way. To rise quickly and stand by your side, I had to use them as stepping stones. I've worked tirelessly to become worthy of you, and now I have. Please, trust me. I won't spare anyone who's hurt you. No matter what I become, I'll always be your loyal dog. Let me treat you right again, just like before. Please. The tea house was completely empty. No one witnessed the humiliating state of Zhiyuan, the most influential figure in the entire provincial capital. Clearly, he had prepared for this long ago. I took a deep breath, straightened my back, and looked down at him with an air of superiority. Let Chenyi go. Turn yourself in at the police station and confess all your crimes. If you ever get out, I might actually respect you. The air hung heavy with silence. Occasional screams and sobs of a woman echoed from upstairs. Despite the soundproofing, every sound carried crystal clear through the serene tea room. Jiang Che slowly rose to his feet, the sorrow vanishing from his face as it hardened with determination. It's impossible. That way we'll never be together. Then let's not say another word. You're on your own. I turned and walked out. I couldn't stay there another moment. He suddenly grabbed me from behind, pressing his forehead against the top of my head. He murmured, when you, I'll never let you go, never." The bodyguards swarmed in and pried him off in seconds. I turned around and slapped him hard across the face. "I feel absolutely disgusting and need to shower immediately." At my signal, the bodyguards gave Jiang Che a proper welcome. Clutching his head, he desperately cried out, "When you, don't leave me." I quickened my pace to escape that suffocating place. 19. Qingyu was being targeted. While Qinyi remained remarkably composed in contrast, even I had to admire his composure. I submitted evidence of Jiang Che's crimes, and the authorities have launched an investigation. Though given Zhi Yuan's considerable influence, it's being conducted discreetly. Then one day, a major scandal suddenly broke online. The land Zhi Yuan acquired at great expense now faces new zoning restrictions, capping their building height at 7 stories. Their original development plan was for a 30-story tower. A 7-story limit would mean losing their entire investment. Investors who initially poured money into this promising project are now scrambling to withdraw their funds, fearing they won't get their money back. Zhi Yuan's cash flow suddenly dried up. The real estate project he invested in was halted due to the economic crisis. With no clear completion date in sight, homebuyers demanded refunds en masse, with protest banners appearing at the sales office. How the tables have turned. Jiang Che himself was ordered to remain in the city and cooperate with the investigation due to suspected involvement in multiple criminal activities. Zhi Yuan's news instantly overshadowed Qingyu's story, becoming front-page headlines across all media sections. 20. Qinyi was in an unusually good mood and offered to treat me to barbecue. I wouldn't miss it for the world. He took me to the newly popular barbecue street. This place brims with the vibrant pulse of life. This is living at its truest. We picked the liveliest spot, melting into the crowd to soak up the bustling energy of humanity. Amid the roaring chatter around us, we thoroughly enjoyed our meal. Dip the flatbread in sauce, wrap it around sizzling, aromatic skewers, and add some scallions for extra flavor. That first bite is pure bliss. Life feels complete. Ayu, try this purple rice cake, your favorite. Qinyi's on feeding duty. I just focus on devouring everything, a sense of tranquil bliss, honestly. Was it you who messed with Zhi Yuan's investment deal? Qinyi batted his innocent peach blossom eyes. That's slander. He raised his hands. I didn't do anything, just had them delay releasing the planning announcement. I took a bite of the purple rice cake. That little delay just cost Jiang Che over $1 billion. Playing dumb to outsmart others is his specialty. Qinyi handed me a small cake, his slender fingers gently brushing the corner of my mouth. Don't think I don't know. You're the one behind Jiang Che's investigation. I froze. How did you know? He turned away with a huff, not telling me. Then he turned back, eyes glistening as he looked at me. Don't do dangerous things like this anymore. Leave it all to me. I sighed. Don't forget, I'm the one in charge at Luhua. Not as weak as you think. Leave Luhua to me from now on. I'll handle everything. You just focus on being a shareholder. What about Qingyu? He shot me an annoyed look. Qingyu married Luhua. Since someone heartless keeps avoiding the marriage talk, let the companies merge first. Well, I lowered my head guiltily. It's all because Dad can't bear to let go. Qinyi, the condensed milk in this purple rice cake smells amazing. You've got to try it. 21. With Zhi Yuan's collapse no longer posing a threat to Qingyu, Qinyi held a press conference to address recent negative publicity surrounding the company. Representing Luhua, I attended the conference to affirm our unwavering support for Qingyu, reassuring the public with this safety net. While touching up my makeup in the restroom, someone suddenly pressed a handkerchief over my mouth from behind. I barely registered it was a woman before everything went black. After a while, a cleaning lady wheeled a trash bin out of the restroom. The assistant waiting outside merely glanced before looking away. She checked the time on her phone and remained standing there patiently waiting for me. When I woke up, my whole body felt exhausted. Darkness enveloped everything around me. Then it hit me with terrifying clarity. I'd been kidnapped. My first thought was of Jiang Che. Had he finally been driven to desperate measures? With a sharp click, the chandelier flickered to life. I squinted as my eyes adjusted to the sudden brightness. Standing before me was none other than Zhi Yuan's heiress, Su Bingyan. The radiant socialite from the auction had vanished. Now she stood like a pallid specter. Her state reminded me of my past self, hollow, numb, resentful, and furious. Why? She seemed to be losing her grip on reality. Why do they treat you like a jewel while treating me this way? She spoke as if to me, yet also to herself. Looks like Su Bingyan was the one who kidnapped me. Shaking off the dizziness, I asked her. Why did you kidnap me? Don't you know this is illegal? Heh, illegal, who's going to prove I did it? Her eyes were practically bulging out of their sockets. I loved him so much, gave him everything. And this is how he treats me. He was in my bed, calling out your name. Every day he stares at your photos and videos like a lovesick fool. Do you have any idea how that makes me feel? I don't even exist in his eyes. Once, I secretly deleted everything about you from his phone. He flew into a rage and beat me beyond recognition. As she spoke, she looked up at me, her face twisted with anger. I just don't get it. What makes you so much better than me? You've never even met before. How could he become so obsessed with you? I could endure his beatings, but handing me over to those powerful men to toy with, they tortured me until death would have been a mercy. I'm already broken beyond repair. I cut her off. Why didn't you call the police? Su Bingyan suddenly roared. What do you know? I love him, no matter what. I'll stay by his side, as long as you're gone. Her eyes burned with destructive madness as she suddenly broke into a sinister laugh. Ha ha ha, I'll make you suffer what I've endured. Let's see if he still fawns over you after you've been used up by men. 22, she's gone mad. The drugs left me weak and limp. I couldn't even muster the strength to crawl. All I could do was pray Chenny would notice my disappearance soon and come find me. Don't kid yourself. This is one of Zhiyuan's abandoned factory buildings. No one will ever find you here. I've got a special gift for you too, and I'll be live streaming everything to Jiangche. Let him watch you enjoy every moment. Haha, my heart sank. Jiangche's torture had completely unhinged this woman. There's nothing they wouldn't stoop to. Su Bingyan initiated a video call with Jiangche. His weary, drowsy voice came through. What is it? When you, Su Bingyan, what the hell are you trying to do? You'll find out soon enough. Su Bingyan muted the audio, completely cutting off Jiangche's furious shouts. A knocking sound came from outside the door. She went to open the door with a mischievous grin. Standing outside was none other than Liao Hai. That woman, damn her. I scanned the room for anything that could serve as a weapon. Liao Hai leered at me with a lascivious grin as he casually shut the door. Su Bingyan stood nearby, phone in hand, rolling his clouded eyes. Liao Hai asked her with a wicked smirk. What, you wanna join in? Su Bingyan chuckled suggestively. I'll film it for you, spice things up a bit. Liao Hai's interest was immediately piqued. Good idea, let me grab a mask first. By the way, are you sure Jiangche brought her here? Absolutely. After what she did to Zhiyuan. Do you really think Jiangche would let her off the hook? That puts my mind at ease. That kid always cleans up his messes. Liao Hai slithered his repulsive body toward me, drool dripping from his gaping mouth. I scrambled backward, pressing against a protruding spike on the rusty bed frame, letting the pain sharpen my survival instincts. Even if Chinny doesn't make it in time, I'll tear a chunk of flesh from this bastard. The man and woman before me wore expressions of vile greed on their faces. Liao Hai picked up a prepared whip from the table, slowly advancing toward me. Liao Hai, I wasn't brought here by Jiangche, it was this woman. Think carefully, Jiangche won't let you off. Neither will Lu Huan nor Qingyu. Liao Hai paused and turned his gaze to Su Bingyan. Don't listen to her. It's just the desperate struggle of a cornered beast. What are you waiting for? Do it now, Liao Hai, I continued. Chenny, the CEO of Qingyu Group, is my fiancé. Even if I die here today, he'll track you down, and your death will be far more gruesome than mine. Are you absolutely sure about this? I need to stall for time before Chenny arrives. She's lying through her teeth. Su Bingyan regretted not gagging me sooner. No one knows she's here. Haven't you been lusting after her for ages? This is your last chance. Don't let her trick you. She put down her phone, snatched the whip from Liao Hai's hands, and lashed out at me viciously. The pain subsided into a tingling numbness as I gritted my teeth in silence. Liao Hai beside me completely gave in to his animalistic urges, snatching the whip from Su Bingyan's hands to torment me. Su Bingyan stood by, cackling hysterically while filming with her phone. A pair of sick freaks. I pretended to cower from their blows, then grabbed a bamboo skewer from the table and thrust it viciously toward Liao Hai's eyes. My reflexes weren't quick enough. He dodged just in time. Enraged, Liao Hai was about to charge at me when the door suddenly burst open. Jiangche stood there like the king of hell, his entire body radiating icy fury, eyes burning crimson. 23. Su Bingyan rushed over to act coquettishly with him, only to be knocked unconscious by a brutal slap. Liao Hai gripped the leather whip, his expression growing feverish. President Jiang, care to join us? Perfect, we'll play together. Jiangchen approached in silence, casually picked up a rope from the table, then suddenly strangled Liao Hai with it. Liao Hai thrashed violently when realization struck, his eyes bulging like a suffocating fish. I'll make every single person who hurt you pay. His grip tightened, veins bulging across his forehead and neck as he stared at me unblinking. Liao Hai's years of debauchery had left him physically depleted, no match for Jiang Che. That trembling body was his last desperate struggle. I turned my head, the commotion gradually died down over there. Meanwhile, thick smoke began rising outside the door. Su Bingyan had woken at some point and set the outside ablaze. The pungent smell of gasoline permeated the air. She wanted to burn us all alive. Soon, a raging fire erupted outside, mingled with Su Bingyan's hysterical screams. Die, you all deserve to die. Drop dead. Jiangchen rammed the door repeatedly to no avail. Su Bingyan had already deadbolted it from outside. The only exit was a tiny window over 2 meters high, completely impossible to escape through. Flames had already engulfed the entire room. Thick smoke made breathing agonizing, yet my mind remained eerily calm. In this lifetime, I've had Chen Yi by my side, and my father's in good health too. I have no regrets left. After several failed attempts, Jiang Che turned back to look at me. If we can die together in this lifetime, I'll die content. You're content, but it's the one thing that still gets under my skin. Suddenly, he charged at me like a madman and held me in a crushing embrace. A steel roof beam came crashing down, pinning us beneath it. The acrid smell of scorched flesh wafted from above. Jiang Che's muscles tensed, his face contorted in agony. With every ounce of strength, he wrenched the glowing steel beam away, his back seared into a mangled mess. Yet I remained completely unscathed. Beyond shock, words failed me. Jiang Che undoubtedly loves me, but his love is utterly selfish. He never considers my feelings. He's a pitiful soul himself, too stubborn and self-centered, doomed to come to no good end. 24. The faint wail of sirens echoed outside. The entire house was on the verge of collapse. Another beam crashed down from above, pinning Jiang Che's legs as he failed to dodge in time. Qing Yi's shouts came from outside the door. I tried to respond, but the thick smoke scorched my throat, leaving me racked with violent coughs. The door suddenly burst open from the outside as Qin Yi charged in, his clothes soaked through. Run, Au, now, the whole house is about to collapse, he shouted urgently. You, don't go. We'll die together. I understood the look in his eyes. We'll die together, and perhaps be reborn together. Qin Yi kicked him aside and carried me through the sea of flames. The moment we escaped, the entire roof collapsed with a thunderous crash. Jiang Che couldn't wait for the firefighters any longer. Su Bingyan was dragged away in handcuffs, still screaming hysterically, "They're all dead, ha ha ha." Amidst the sea of flames, Chen Yi and I clung to each other desperately. Surviving the ordeal, we felt overwhelming gratitude. Having you for the rest of my life is my greatest blessing. The end. Story 2. The day I received Tsinghua University's admission letter. My cousin knelt before me clutching her stomach, saying she was pregnant with my boyfriend's child and begging me to let them be together. I grinned from ear to ear. I was just worrying about how to break off the engagement with that scumbag. Isn't it great to graduate from a prestigious school, inherit the family fortune, and become a billionaire heiress? Men will only slow down my money-making speed. 1. After dying from overwork, I was reborn the moment I opened my eyes. I met a pair of pitifully pleading eyes. My cousin Su Ro, dressed in a plain white dress, stood at my doorstep carrying a large suitcase. It was 1 month before the college entrance exam. My older cousin Su Ro, a junior in college, came to my house using the excuse that my place was closer to her school. "Ruru, why didn't you tell your uncle in advance? I would have picked you up." My dad pushed me aside, pulled Su Ro into the house, and then moved her into my room. Rubbing my sore arm where my father had bumped into me, I narrowed my eyes. What did I do in my past life again? The searing memory came back easily. Proud and arrogant, I refused to give up the room and had a huge fight with my father, enduring a hard slap from him. Because of this, my mother had a big argument with my father, making their already fragile relationship even more precarious. Not only that, but Su Ro then started getting flirtatious with my boyfriend Zhang Chuyang in all sorts of ways. Unwilling to let Su Ro take everything from me, I lost focus on my studies, obsessively thinking about how to make Su Ro leave my home and stay away from my boyfriend. As a result, despite always being a top student, I underperformed and could only get into a vocational college based on my college entrance exam scores. After that, my parents divorced, and I ended up living with my father. Su-ro framed me for pushing her down the stairs, and my father kicked me out of the house. Su-ro married Zhang Chuyang, who also comes from a wealthy family, with the dowry of millions given by my father. After graduating from college, I couldn't find a suitable job and ended up working on a factory assembly line, dying from overwork. 2. Reborn. I voluntarily gave up my bedroom and moved into the attic on the 3rd floor, not because I'm afraid, but because I want to seize the opportunity of the college entrance exam. My past life experiences have taught me that only personal strength truly matters. I live alone on the 3rd floor, enjoying perfect tranquility. I study late into the night every day. I pretended not to notice all the little interactions between Suru and Zhang Chuyang. Finally, the college entrance exams ended, and I scored high enough to be courted by both Tsinghua and Peking University. In the end, I chose Tsinghua. It wasn't until I received Tsinghua's admission letter that my anxious heart finally settled. I pushed open the attic window and exhaled a turbid breath. Now, it's time to settle the scores between me, Su-ro, Zhang Chuyang, and my father. 3. As I went downstairs, I happened to see Su-ro nestled in Zhang Chuyang's arms, smiling shyly. Spotting me, Zhang Chuyang abruptly pushed Su-ro away and strode toward me. Hanin, you finally came down. You've been so busy studying lately that you had no time for me. Now you have to make it up to me and keep me company. As he spoke, Zhang Chuyang reached out to grab my hand. I took a step back, creating distance between us. But it seems like you already have someone keeping you company. I meaningfully glanced at Su-ro. After a brief moment of awkwardness, Zhang Chuyang quickly regained his composure and said with forced nonchalance, Hanin, what nonsense are you thinking? The only reason I'm close to Su-ro is because she's your cousin. The merciless words turned Su-ro's face pale, yet I curled my lips in delight. My marriage to Zhang Chuyang was an arranged alliance between wealthy families, a childhood betrothal set from infancy. That's why in my past life, I always treated Zhang Chuyang as my future husband, making it unbearable when Su-ro stole him away. In my previous life at this point in time, due to my relentless interference, Zhang Chuyang and Su-ro had already developed a deep affection for each other, but now, perhaps because I'm no longer acting as the catalyst, Zhang Chuyang is still secretly seeing Su-ro behind my back. While playing along with Zhang Chuyang's act might make Su-ro uncomfortable, it disgusts me even more. How can I quickly break off my engagement with Zhang Chuyang? As I pondered, an idea quickly came to me. I gazed lovingly at Zhang Chuyang. Since I'll have to marry you eventually anyway, why don't we just get married now? 4. Get married. Su-ro was the first to exclaim in shock. What? Cousin doesn't want to. Or perhaps cousin wants to replace me and marry Chuyang. The piercing words made Su-ro's lips tremble, unsure of what to say. Zhang Chuyang's expression also turned somewhat awkward. Clearly, he hadn't had enough of the joy from playing both sides yet, so I added fuel to the fire. Chuyang, I actually got into Tsinghua University. Auntie would be so happy if she knew. You really got into Tsinghua? Zhang Chuyang's eyes lit up. After seeing me nod, his face erupted with joy. Wait here, I'm going home right now to tell my mom. The Zhang family made their fortune in the coal mining business years ago. Though the mining industry declined later, their family wealth remained substantial, and they invested in other ventures. Although their family is wealthy, none of them have achieved academic success. The most educated person in their family is Zhang Chuyang. He, who is 3 years older than me, entered society directly after high school without attending college. As a result, the Zhang family is often criticized behind their backs, being called upstarts who lack sophistication. The more one lacks something, the more they flaunt it. No matter where she goes, Mother Zhang brags about my good grades. Now that I've been admitted to Tsinghua, she surely hopes I can marry into the Zhang family soon. The moment Zhang Chuyang left my house, Su-ro couldn't hold back anymore. Clutching her stomach, she knelt before me. Hanin, I've wronged you. I'm pregnant with Zhang Chuyang's child. I know. After all, the safety helmets used by Zhang Chuyang and Su-ro were the ones I had pre-punctured with a needle. My resounding words abruptly halted Su-ro's sobs. How could you possibly know? With a slight curl of my lips, I said nothing and stepped upstairs. It seems there's a tough battle to fight this afternoon. I need to rest well for a while to conserve my energy. 5. Bang bang bang. I was awakened by violent knocking on the door. Immediately after, My father's irritable voice sounded outside, locking the door inside the house. All you do every day is study and sleep. I might as well have raised a pig. Why don't you learn from your cousin? She gets up early every morning to cook. And, frowning, I walked straight to the door and opened it, seeing my expressionless face. My father's incessant nagging suddenly stopped. His face then twisted in anger. You damn brat, how dare you look at me with those eyes? As he spoke, his hand was about to strike me. I quickly descended the stairs, causing him to miss his swing. Downstairs, Father Jean, Mother Jean, and Jean Chuyang were laughing heartily. Their smiles widened several times over when they saw me. Su Ro, who was serving tea nearby, had tears in her eyes. It seems the Jean Chuyang family still doesn't know about Su Ro's pregnancy. TSK. And here I thought Su Ro was so capable. I never thought I'd have to be the one to expose this matter personally. 6. Uncle, Auntie. I walked up to Zhang's mother. Zhang's mother immediately noticed the Tsinghua admission letter in my hand, taking it to examine repeatedly. Then she passed the admission letter to Zhang's father before taking my hand. Our Henin is truly outstanding. I absolutely adore you. As soon as my father came downstairs, she couldn't wait to say to him, in-laws, Chuyang is already in his 20s, and Henin has come of age. How about we hold the wedding first and register the marriage later? The Zhang family's status is above ours. Hearing Mrs. Zhang's words, my father temporarily set aside his dissatisfaction with me and forced a smile. Of course, that sounds good. So, when do you think would be the best time to set the date? Seeing Zhang's parents and my father already starting to discuss the wedding date for me and Jean Chuyang, I could only find it ridiculous. My mother hasn't returned from work yet, and they're blatantly disregarding her presence. Looking at Su Ro beside me, her eyes were fixed intently on Jean Chuyang. Jean Chuyang, who would usually melt at Su Ro's smile, now sat upright, completely ignoring her hints. TSK. In the face of interests, their love seems insignificant. How about next month then? Let's have the wedding before Henin starts school. Sounds good to me, Mr. and Mrs. Zhang immediately agreed with my father. At this moment, I spoke up, Uncle, Auntie, I also want to marry Chuyang, but, as I spoke, I cast an accusing glance at Su Ro and said pitifully, but she actually went behind my back to seduce Chuyang and even got pregnant with his child. 7. My words shocked everyone present. Henin, are you mistaken? She's your cousin. I wish I were wrong too. But she personally told me this not long ago. At this moment, the eye drops I applied earlier could finally take effect. Tears plopped down. I lowered my head pretending to cry, while stealing glances at Su Ro from the corner of my eye. Among the 3 Su brothers, only my father managed to get into university and married my mother. He leveraged my mother's family influence to establish the Su group. But the real power in the company lies with my mother. My father is just a nominal president. As for my father's brothers and their families, though their lives improved considerably with my father's discreet support, they still couldn't compare to our household. Su Ro has envied me since childhood. I've spelled it out this clearly. If Su Ro still doesn't seize this chance to marry into wealth, I'd actually look down on her. Fortunately, this time, she didn't let me down. Su Ro, under everyone's gaze, knelt before Zhang's parents. Uncle, Auntie, Chuyang and I truly love each other. Before Zhang's parents could react, Zhang Chuyang couldn't wait to stand up. I clearly took safety measures. How could you possibly be pregnant? With that one sentence, the matter was confirmed. Chuyang, I don't know how this happened. Didn't you say you never liked Suihan? That she was dull and wooden, and that you'd break off the engagement with her to be with me eventually. You also said, shut your mouth. In his panic, Zhang Chuyang slapped Su Ro across the face. The next second, Zhang's father kicked Zhang Chuyang in the stomach. You disgraceful brat, you've shamed our entire Zhang family. Why are you hitting our son? Mother Zhang protested. It's clearly that slut Su Ro seducing my boy. If anyone should be beaten, it's her. Mother Zhang grabbed Su Ro by the hair. My father rushed to intervene. In her fury, Mother Zhang even scratched my father, afraid of getting his face scratched. My dad took a step back. Then Su Ro was pinned to the ground and beaten by Zhang's mother. Unable to dodge, Su Ro suddenly clutched her stomach. The baby, my baby. A streak of crimson flowed from Su Ro's legs onto the floor. 8. Fearing a manslaughter charge, Zhang's mother immediately stopped and dialed 120. Half an hour later, Su Ro was carried onto the ambulance. Zhang's parents, Zhang Chuyang, and my father anxiously followed behind. I sat on the living room sofa, watching the figures heading outside, a cold smirk curling at the corner of my lips. Just at that moment, a gloomy gaze swept over. "It's my dad." He suddenly turned his head, just in time to catch the smile on my face. I instinctively suppressed my smile, then quickly realized I was no longer the timid and incompetent version of myself from my past life who had been oppressed by him. I raised my head and flashed a bold smile at my father. Seeing my defiant look for the first time, my father's anger flared up as if he was about to come back and settle the score with me. However, the ambulance outside couldn't wait any longer, so he had no choice but to board it and leave. Not long after the ambulance left, my mother returned. She was dressed in a fitted business suit with her hair up, though in her 40s with fine lines at the corners of her eyes. She still retained her graceful charm. Her hair was slightly disheveled, clearly showing she had rushed back in a hurry. "Hanin, Auntie told me something happened. What's going on?" Her tone was somewhat cold and rigid from being preoccupied with work, yet her eyes were full of concern. Unfortunately, this concern was something I failed to see in my past life. Back then, it never even crossed my mind whether Mom worked so hard for my sake. I just thought she only cared about making money and didn't love me at all. I'd been rebellious since childhood, always going against my mother, even when my mother gave up the Sioux group and divorced my father, with the sole condition of taking me with her. I stubbornly chose to stay with my father because I couldn't bear losing to Sioux Row. In the end, my disappointed mother left with nothing, giving up everything to go abroad. Thinking about it, I felt my nose sting with unshed tears. "Mom," I threw myself into her arms, holding her tightly. "Mom, you're finally back." 9. In my past life, I was rarely close to my mother. Since being reborn, we've become much closer, but compared to ordinary mother-daughter relationships, there's still some distance between us. My mother's body stiffened at first, then she relaxed and patted my back awkwardly. "Hanin, did someone wrong you, MHM?" I nodded and told her what happened today. Zhang Chuyang and Su Ro were secretly together. They even had a child. How outrageous. My mother fumed. "I'm going to confront them right now. The Zhang family and the eldest son's family must give me an explanation today." With that, my mom pulled me out the door. She drove me to the hospital. When we arrived at the hospital, Su'er was lying weakly on the hospital bed. Zhang's parents, Zhang Chuyang, and my dad were all in the ward. The other three looked grim. Only my father fussed over Su Ro with concern. "Ruru, does it hurt? Are you hungry? Tell uncle if you feel unwell." "My baby." Su Ro stroked her belly with tears. My father's tone grew even gentler. "The baby is fine. You just need to rest and recover now. Don't worry about anything else. Thank you, uncle." Unable to listen any longer, my mom pushed open the hospital room door and sneered. You were never this considerate with Hanin. Anyone would think Su Ro isn't your niece but your illegitimate daughter. 10. My mom was practically speaking for me, saying everything I wanted to say. As expected, my dad also got angry. Though incompetent in his career, he always surpassed my mom in temper. "Jing Yunru, what nonsense are you talking about?" I've seen this side of my father many times, but this time, I caught a trace of something on his face that I'd never noticed before. Guilt. I glanced at my father, then looked at Su Ro lying on the bed. A bold idea began to form in my mind. Nonsense, Su Ro even dared to steal Hanin's fiancé. How shameless can she be? And you're still defending her. Do you even care about us, your wife and daughter? Su Ro is still young and doesn't know better. Besides, she's not an outsider, she's my niece. Seeing the two about to erupt into a fierce fight, I quickly grabbed my mom's hand. "Mom." Coming to her senses, my mom took a deep breath, temporarily suppressing her anger toward my dad, and turned to look at Zhang's parents. The previously amused expressions of Zhang's parents immediately tensed up. "In-laws, well, don't call me in-laws. Since your son has no sense of decency, let's just call off this marriage." Before Mr. and Mrs. Zhang could respond, my father hastily stepped forward. "What a waste to call it off. Why not let Ruru marry Chuyang in Ihan's place? That's absolutely not acceptable, Mrs. Zhang's eyes widened instantly. Hanin got into Tsinghua University, but what about Su Ro? She went to some no-name college and comes from the countryside. Our Zhang family would never accept such a daughter-in-law. In my opinion, Su Ro should just get rid of the baby in her belly and go back to the countryside. Let's pretend this never happened. We can't let some worthless woman ruin the harmony between our two families, right? My dear in-laws." Mrs. Zhang looked at my mother, My mother glanced at my father's livid face, she patted my hand reassuringly and then said leisurely, "This might actually work." 11. Seeing my mother relent, Mrs. Zhang heaved a huge sigh of relief. "In that case, I'll have the doctor prepare the abortion procedure right away." As she spoke, Mrs. Zhang made to arrange it. Su Ro, who had been lying weakly in bed struggling to speak, suddenly jumped up and clung to Zhang Chuyang's leg. "Chuyang, how could you bear to treat me like this, woo-woo?" she cried pitifully, her face wet with tears. Zhang Chuyang's face showed signs of inner struggle. Seeing this, Madame Zhang became furious. "You shameless wench, don't touch my son." As she spoke, she tried to pull Su Ro away. At this moment, two figures rushed in. "How dare you bully my daughter? I'll fight you to the death." The ones who rushed in were Su Ro's parents. They had clearly just received the news and hurried over. Seeing Su Ro being bullied, they immediately pushed Zhang's mother aside and started beating her. Old Zhang also joined the fight. Su Ro's parents were accustomed to farm work and had great strength, making old Zhang and his wife no match for them. Seeing his parents howling in pain from the beating, Zhang Chuyang also charged in. The six of them tumbled into a tangled mess on the ground. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. The laughter caught my father's attention. He strode toward me angrily. "Sui-han, you've gone too far. If it weren't for you, how could things have come to this?" "Me? What does it have to do with me? Isn't it Su Ro who's shameless?" "Shut the hell up, I won't." "What, could it be true like my mom said? Su Ro isn't your niece but your illegitimate daughter." As my words hung in the air, my father's face turned livid with rage. "Nonsense. Today I'm going to teach you a proper lesson." With that, my father raised his hand to strike me. My mother instinctively shielded me behind her. "How dare you?" "Why wouldn't I dare? Jing Yunru, if you stand in my way, don't think I won't hit you too." "Humph." A cold, mocking young voice came from outside the hospital room. "How ridiculous. This is the first time I've seen a father who can't stand to see his own daughter happy." 12. I turned around and saw a face that was both strange and familiar. The youth's features were delicate, with sharp contours and extraordinary handsomeness. The scrapes at the corner of his eye and the blood at his lips didn't mar his good looks, but rather added a touch of bewitching allure. His single eye bore obvious ferocity, brimming with menace. He is my high school classmate Qin Zhou. After graduating from high school, I lost touch with many of my classmates. The reason he seemed familiar was that, before my rebirth, I happened to meet him once. At that time, I was heading home from work as usual when two men stopped me on the street. It was Qin Zhou who appeared in the luxury car. With just a simple honk, the two men were scared off and ran away. I thanked Qin Zhou, to which he replied, "No need to thank me, old classmate." Only then did I manage to dredge up the few fragmented memories I had of Qin Zhou from the depths of my mind. While grateful, I also felt deeply embarrassed. My high school classmates are doing really well, while I, withdrawing my wandering thoughts, I look again at the face before me. He's not as composed now as he was before I was reborn, appearing much more youthful, but still handsome. "Who do you think you are? Our family matters are none of your business, you little brat. Today I'm going to teach my own daughter a lesson." Mocked by an outsider, my extremely prideful father felt even more humiliated. He rolled up his sleeves and was about to hit me. My mother shielded me in front of her. But his slap didn't stop. He actually intended to hit my mother too. I moved to block my father's slap, but a hand beat me to it, firmly restraining his arm. It was Qin Zhou. My furious father wanted to scold Qin Zhou too, but his hand was held by Qin Zhou and couldn't move at all. The two stood in confrontation, Qin Zhou looking relaxed while my father's face turned the color of liver. Eventually, the medical staff noticed the commotion and rushed into the ward to break up the fight. My father took the opportunity to withdraw his hand and turned to look at Su Ro. I turned around to thank Qin Zhou, only to find that he had already walked away. At the far end of the long corridor, his figure appeared frail. A sense of loneliness lingered. 13. Half an hour later, with the hospital staff's reassurance, the crowd present barely calmed down, except for my father, who pretended to care about Su Ro while actually staying aloof. Everyone else had tear-streaked faces, disheveled appearances, looking utterly wretched. The Zhang family held their chins high, exuding arrogance. Su Ro's parents lowered their heads, filled with anxiety. Their greatest dream was to have Su Ro marry into a wealthy family, yet moments ago, they were beating that very wealthy family to the ground. "The child in Su Ro's belly must be aborted," Father Zhang angrily declared. Mother Zhang chimed in. "I'd rather die than let Su Ro step into our household. That's unacceptable." Father Su protested, your Zhang Chuyang got our Su Ro pregnant. If you won't take responsibility, we'll make a scene at your company's entrance and let the public judge who's right. Su's father's words made James' parents turn pale. 200,000, that's a human life. You think you can buy a life for 200,000, you? James' father interrupted Su's mother's relentless demands. 500,000, this time. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Daqiang and Lu Meifeng eagerly nodded. Deal. On the hospital bed, Su Ro cried until she fainted. She really fainted. Unfortunately, even after fainting, she couldn't escape her fate of going under the knife. After dealing with Su Daqiang's family, the exhausted Zhang parents turned to my mother-in-laws. Once the baby in Su Ro's belly is gone, let Chuyang marry Yihan. What do you say? My mother's eyes flickered. That depends on how your Chuyang behaves, don't worry. If Chuyang ever messes around again, I'll break his legs. Zhang's mother pulled Zhang Chuyang over. Zhang Chuyang absent-mindedly nodded in agreement. His eyes kept darting toward the direction where Su Ro was being pushed away. Without chatting much with Zhang's mother, my mom took me away. In the car, while driving, my mom asked me, what do you think about the marriage arrangement with Zhang Chuyang? 14. I wouldn't want that scumbag even if you paid me. The mere thought of Zhang Chuyang fills me with disgust, so repulsive it makes me physically ill. A cheating, cowardly, irresponsible man with not a single redeeming quality. I must have been blind in my past life to compete with Su Ro over a piece of trash. My words eased some of the worry between my mother's brows. So what do you want to do now? I want to break off the engagement with Zhang Chuyang. Dragging things out with Zhang Chuyang for a while might hurt him and Su Ro more deeply. But just the thought of bearing the title of Zhang Chuyang's fiancé makes me sick. Mom, if Su Ro's pregnancy is terminated, wouldn't the Zhang family just keep clinging to me? I shared my concerns with my mother. She gave me a reassuring smile. Don't worry, leave it to Mom. When we got home, my mother first called Zhang's mother-in-laws. Has the child in Su Ro's womb been aborted yet? Not yet. The doctor said they need to wait until she wakes up to check her physical condition before performing the surgery. I think that slut Su Ro is clearly faking her faint. Exactly. What kind of decent person would seduce their own sister's boyfriend? In-laws, you mustn't soften at the critical moment. Chuyang isn't infertile. Once he marries Henin in the future, they can have 8 or 10 children. After ending the call with James' mother, my mom turned to look at me. Before I could even ask, she made her stance clear. Zhang Chuyang is an only child. Back then, his parents went through great efforts to have him. Apparently, his father had some issues in that department, so Zhang's mother might not allow Su Ro on the operating table due to concerns about continuing the family line. My eyes lit up with realization. My mother smiled and tapped my forehead. Clever. This way, the Zhang family won't have the face to pester us anymore. And even if Su Ro manages to bear a child, the Zhangs will still look down on her. Hearing this, I looked at my mother with admiration in my eyes. Mom, you're amazing. My mother smiled and hugged me, gently stroking my head. No one can bully my daughter. 15. Feeling my mother's warm embrace, I couldn't stop my nose from tingling with emotion. My mother had said these same words in my past life. How had I responded back then? I said, if you really don't want me to be bullied, you should help me win Zhang Chuyang back. But Henin, Zhang Chuyang isn't worth it. Worth it or not, I just like him. I was like a person possessed. My only wish was to separate Su Ro and Zhang Chuyang. Unable to dissuade me, my mother swallowed her pride and went to Zhang's parents, only to be looked down upon by them. Exactly. Even though Zhang Chuyang treated me like this, I still couldn't bring myself to let go. With a daughter like me, no wonder my mother gets looked down upon by others. Henin, what's wrong with you? Sensing my emotional turmoil, my mother asked with concern. Buried in my mother's arms, I muttered, Mom, I think Dad, he doesn't deserve to be my father. It's as if we weren't close enough before. There was always something between my mom and Dad too. Normally my mom was busy with work, while my dad squandered her money showing off everywhere. Looking back now, their relationship had been troubled for a long time, but for my sake, my mom kept enduring life with my dad. But now I see clearly a father who doesn't care about me is someone I can do without. I wish my mother would file for divorce from my father, but she didn't. She just held me tightly, and after a long while, let out a sigh, although somewhat disappointing. It's understandable, after all, in my previous life. My mother filed for divorce from my father a year later, by which time I had already been mentally broken by Zhang Chuyang, Su Ro, and my father. she was completely disillusioned with my father and wanted to take me away, but now, apart from defending Su-ro, my father doesn't seem to have committed any other unforgivable acts, although I really want to get rid of my dad soon. I know some things can't be rushed. 16. In the afternoon, my mom went out to prepare for my college celebration banquet. I called all the villa's servants over and ordered, throw out all of Su-ro's belongings. Yes, I tolerated Su-ro for a while just for the sake of learning. From now on, I won't give anyone the chance to hurt me again. After all of Su-ro's belongings were thrown out, the servants cleaned my room, and I moved back from the attic. In the evening, my mom came home first, and right after, my dad returned. When he saw us, his arrogant expression faded, replaced by an awkward look. He walked up to my mom, took her hand and said, "At the hospital earlier, I was just too angry. Please don't be mad at me." Normally, even when he knows he's done something wrong, my dad never apologizes. He must be after something now. My mother withdrew her hand, her expression indifferent. From the looks of it, Su-ro didn't abort the child in her belly, having his thoughts exposed directly. My father felt somewhat awkward. Zhang Chuyang got tested, low sperm count. It might be hard to have children later, so this is a last resort. So what? My mother stared steadily at my father. Faced with my mother's composure, my father's guilt turned to anger. It's Yihan's own fault for not being likable enough to win Zhang Chuyang's affection. Since Ro is already carrying his child, this marriage might as well go to her. My mother also has a tough temper and immediately darkened her face. Su Zhennan, I don't care about this marriage, but what do you mean? What do you mean by saying Hanin is unlikable? In your eyes, is your niece Su-ro the only likable one? Isn't that the case? My father slammed the table and stood up, pointing at me. Look at her face like I owe her millions. Where is she likable? Unlike Ro, who serves me tea, asks about my well-being, and even, 17, shut up. My mother was so angry her chest heaved up and down. Worried my mother might harm her health from anger, I quickly stepped forward to soothe her. Mom, let's not be angry. It's fine if Dad doesn't love me. I still have you. Seeing my worry, my mom took a deep breath, trying hard to suppress her inner anger. Ignoring Su Zhennan, she took my hand and led me upstairs. Upstairs, she looked at me and said, "Your dad She wanted to say something, but the words stuck in her throat and she couldn't get them out. I squeezed my mother's hand back. Mom, in my heart, I don't have a father. From childhood till now, my father never cared for me. Never looked after me, never attended my parent-teacher meetings, never. He wasn't involved in any big or small matters of my life. He didn't even have a shred of affection for me, only disgust. But with Su-ro, it was different. Only in front of her did he act like a father. Sometimes I even feel, thinking of that suspicion in my heart, I gritted my teeth and continued, that Su-ro is actually his daughter. And I'm just an obstacle who stole his daughter's position. Hanin. Startled by my words, my mother exclaimed, I can assure you, you are your father's child. As for Su-ro, your father is selfish. He's always wanted to drain me to support his two brothers. Deep down, he believes he and his two brothers are the real family, treating me as an outsider. He places you in the same position as me, which is why rest assured, Su-ro is definitely not your father's child. If your father doesn't cherish you, I'll love you twice as much." Hearing this, I nodded and stopped dwelling on the issue, then said, "So my father's idea is to have Su-ro marry Zhang Chuyang. Did James' parents accept her just because she's pregnant? If that's the case, Su-ro is getting off too easily." 18, Of course not. I know Mr. and Mrs. Zhang too well. They're probably planning to have Su-ro secretly give birth, then raise the child as yours and Zhang Chuyang's. They got your father to come back as their mediator. But how could your father bear to let his precious niece suffer such injustice? That's why he came back this time, to have me intervene and persuade Zhang's parents to let Su-ro marry into the Zhang family. I'm not that foolish. After that argument with your dad just now, he probably won't dare bring it up again. After hearing my mom's words, I couldn't help but give her a thumbs up. "Mom, you're amazing." "Of course," my mom said with a proud smirk. "Your college celebration banquet is scheduled in 3 days. I'll send you the hotel address via WeChat later. Just focus on inviting your classmates these days. Leave everything else to me. On the day of the celebration banquet, I'll publicly announce the cancellation of your engagement with Zhang Chuyang." "Okay, Mom." Back in my room, I still felt somewhat puzzled. My mother's abilities are even more outstanding than I imagined. she's so intelligent that she can confidently assert Su-ro wasn't born to my father. Could it be that I was truly mistaken about this point? Shaking my head, I temporarily pushed this question to the back of my mind. I took out my phone and sent invitations for the college celebration banquet to several close friends. When reaching the last invitation, I thought of Qin Zhou. He was my classmate, but during high school, I had very few impressions of him. From what I remember, he always sat in the back row of the classroom, either sleeping or playing with his phone during class, and the teachers couldn't be bothered to discipline him. He often got into fights with others and was frequently called to the principal's office with his parents. He was the epitome of a rebellious student. Yet because of his good looks, his desk drawer was always stuffed with love letters. He never even touched those letters, routinely tossing them into the trash. Our interactions were pitifully few, yet across lifetimes, he helped me twice. After wrestling with it for a moment, I still sent Qin Zhou a message. Since I wasn't very familiar with him, my tone was relatively polite. My college celebration banquet is in 3 days. Would you be available? Unexpectedly, the reply came quickly. Just a simple word, okay. 19. Several close friends, regardless of how well they did in exams, are all having their college celebration banquets these days. That day, as I was neatly dressed and ready to go out, my father sitting on the sofa gave me a once-over, his eyes sharpening. "Ihan, what do you want?" My tone was cold, frowning with displeasure. My father spoke up. "Your cousin is still lying in the hospital recovering. How can you still have the mind to go out and have fun? By your logic, since cousin is still lying sick in bed, how come you have the leisure to drink tea at home? Seems to me you should be by her side in the hospital every single minute." My blunt retort made my father's expression darken. "I stayed up late last night, so I can't keep my eyes open today." Oh, I was in a hurry to leave and couldn't be bothered to waste more words on him. As I reached the door, my father's voice came again. "Remember to find time to visit your cousin." Probably asking me to visit Su-ro was just an excuse. The real intention was to have her lecture me. As if deaf to his words, I turned and walked away. After attending my friend's college celebration banquet, on the way back, I asked the driver to take a detour to the hospital. When I arrived at the hospital, Su-ro was sitting on the bed eating fruit fed to her by Su Daqiang and Lu Meifeng. Our Ruru is truly remarkable. It seems she'll marry into wealth sooner or later. What's the use of Su Yihan being book-smart when she can't even keep a man? When you marry Zhang Chuyang, have your uncle give you a bigger dowry. The three of them had their schemes all worked out, their calculations clicking away loudly. I pushed the door open at just the right moment, but Aunt Zhang just called me and said Chuyang would never marry Su-ro. Once Su-ro gives birth, she'll be sent packing back to the countryside. 20. My words caused the expressions of everyone in the room to change dramatically. "Ihan, things have come to this. Even if you marry Zhang Chuyang, you can only have his body, not his heart." At this moment, the smugness on Lu Meifeng's face completely vanished, replaced by bitter anguish. "Ihan, you've been fortunate since childhood, lacking nothing. Ro is different. Could you please not compete with her for Chuyang?" As Lu Meifeng spoke, Su-ro was already in tears. "Han Yen, for the sake of me being your elder sister, could you please let me go?" Su Daqiang's attitude remained firm. "Ihan, even if you refuse to break off the engagement with Chuyang, your father will find a way to make Sura marry him instead. If you don't let go now, you'll only be humiliating yourself when the time comes." The three of them worked in perfect coordination, using both carrot and stick. If this were the kind and weak-willed me from my past life, I probably would have blamed myself already. But, what do you mean by let you off? It was Su-ro who shamelessly seduced my fiancé and got pregnant with his child. I must have been cursed for 8 lifetimes to be involved with people like you. Listen here, Su-ro, no matter what tricks you pull, I won't cancel my engagement to Zhang Chuyang. Go ahead and have the baby. When the time comes, your child will call me mom, while you'll forever remain in the shadows. At most hearing your child call you auntie. Hearing this, everyone in the room was left speechless with anger. Bang, the meal delivery auntie who just walked in accidentally broke a bowl at that moment. "I'm so sorry, it's my clumsy hands." She flusteredly tried to pick up the broken ceramic pieces from the floor and accidentally cut her hand. Unable to watch any longer, I stepped forward. "Let me handle this." I crouched down to help her pick up the broken bowl pieces. After gathering them, I stood up, ready to throw these into the trash bin. As I raised my eyes, my gaze inadvertently fell upon the face of the meal delivery auntie, and I couldn't look away. She looked so much like Su-ro. 21. The conjecture I had previously suppressed resurfaced once again. Noticing me staring at her face, the meal delivery aunt quickly lowered her head and said to me, "Thank you, it's nothing." I comfortingly patted her shoulder and casually plucked a strand of hair from her head. Just as I stepped out of the ward door, I saw Zhang Chuyang. His expression was extremely excited. "Henin, that's wonderful. You don't mind Su-ro giving birth to my child and are even willing to be the child's real mother. Don't worry, I'll definitely treat you well from now on." As he spoke, his eyes were filled with deep affection as he looked at me. It seems he overheard what I just said in the hospital room. I almost want to puke. In my past life, how blind must I have been to feel resentful that Su-ro stole such a worthless thing. What about Su-ro then? I deliberately raised my voice. "Just give her some money after she gives birth to the child," Zhang Chuyang said with complete indifference. Indoors, as Zhang Chuyang's words were spoken, another wave of exclamations arose. Su-ro fainted again. As for whether it's real or fake fainting, I don't care. I looked at Zhang Chuyang expressionlessly. What I said earlier was just to deliberately provoke Su-rong. From the moment you hooked up with Su-rong, we no longer have any relationship. Please tell your parents this when you get back, so they won't go around saying I'm your family's future daughter-in-law every day. Being associated with people like you is actually quite embarrassing." After saying this, I ignored Zhang Chuyang's reaction and walked away. 22. The day before the college celebration banquet, my mom and I returned after choosing dresses, discovered Su-ro and her parents at my house. The family of 3 lay on the sofa, munching melon seeds while watching TV. The villa was littered with melon seed shells and spilled tea, utterly chaotic. "What are you doing here?" I stared at them. Su Daqiang leaned further back into the sofa. "What kind of talk is that, Ihan? We're family. Ruru just got out of the hospital and shouldn't be inconvenienced. If she doesn't stay here, where else would she stay?" At that moment, a servant came downstairs carrying some belongings. I took a closer look and realized they were actually my things from my room. Noticing my gaze, Su-ro spoke up with an innocent expression. "Henin, uncle said I need a good environment to recover. So I'm afraid you'll have to stay in the attic or the guest room." Holy cow. They actually took over my room again without notifying me. I was furious. Just as I was about to speak, my mom cut in ahead of me. "Security, throw this family of 3 out. How dare you? Do you know who I am? I'm the elder brother of the master of this villa. If you dare lay a hand on me, I'll have you all fired." Su Daqiang roared furiously. However, the security guards completely ignored them. After all, this villa was part of my maternal grandparents' dowry to my mother. The 3 who were thrown out sat at the entrance of my villa, cursing and grumbling. I said slowly, "Keep shouting and I'll call the police." As I spoke, I took out my phone. When I pressed 110, the 3 immediately fell silent. They got up from the ground and left with their meager belongings. "Su-ro," I called out to her at that moment. "What else do you want?" Su-ro could no longer keep up the act, clutching her stomach. She looked at me with full of wariness and hatred. "Don't you dare touch my child." "Ha." I let out a cold laugh. "Just having a child won't get you into the Zhang family." 23. The Zhangs value their reputation above all. Only by making it known to everyone that you're carrying Zhang Chuyang's child might the Zhangs allow you to enter their household openly. How could you be so kind? Su-ro's expression was deeply moved. She wasn't completely brainless after all. Soon, she figured it out. "Sui-han, you did this on purpose. You want to drag the Zhang family down with you in disgrace." "Yes, I did it on purpose. I've given you the opportunity. Take it or leave it." Not long after the Su Daqiang family left, my father returned. In the living room, he had an unprecedented argument with my mother. Because of me, because of Su-ro. Their quarrel started with Su-ro seducing Zhang Chuyang, then escalated far beyond that. My father felt that over all these years, my mother's financial dominance had constantly undermined his dignity. As for my mom, aside from feeling I'd been wronged, her biggest emotional knot was my dad's years of emotional neglect. Even my usually elegant and composed mother couldn't hold back her emotional breakdown at this moment. "Su Zhenan, you're just spineless, utterly useless, and a complete male chauvinist. If you won't protect your own wife and child, you're nothing but a heartless, ungrateful wretch with no eyes to see. Jing Yunru, you're asking for death." My father raised his hand, about to strike my mother. Of course, his slap never landed on my mother. Mid-air, it was intercepted by security. "Beat Su Zhenan to death. The harder you hit, the bigger the bonus." 24. Next, the living room was filled with Su Zhenan's screams of agony. "I've wanted to do this for a long time. Even if in my past life I only ended up attending a vocational college, it wasn't impossible to make a good life through hard work. It's Su Jinan, Su Ro, and Zhang Chuyang. No matter what job I find, they'll use their power to ruin it for me. In my tragic past life, though I was partly to blame for being blind to the truth, I never did anything truly evil from start to finish. It was these villains who kept pushing me to the edge. The moment I was reborn, I wanted to beat Su Jinan to death, but when I actually did it, I didn't feel the satisfaction I expected. Because of my mom's face was full of hurt. Mom. I stepped forward to hold my mother's hand and called out cautiously, "Mom's fine." My mother forced a faint smile at me. Only when Su Jinan was beaten into silence did my mother say to the security guards, "Stop." I still felt somewhat unwilling to let Su Jinan off so easily. My mother patted my hand reassuringly. "Tomorrow is your college celebration banquet. It wouldn't be good if this escalated." With that, I said nothing more. Su Jinan was sent to the hospital. And at the ward's entrance, my mother specifically arranged for someone to keep watch. At night, the light in my mother's room remained on. Unable to rest easy, I walked to my mother's room door and saw her inside, gathering all the photos she had with my father. First, she looked at them reminiscing about the past, then tore them to pieces fiercely. Indeed, I only saw my father's faults but failed to see everything he and my mother had been through together. Noticing my arrival, my mother waved at me. I walked over and nestled into my mother's embrace. My mother's voice came from above. "When I wanted to marry your father, your grandparents disagreed, saying he came from a poor background and lacked personal capability. I was bewitched by his sweet words and was determined to marry him. Now that things have come to this, it seems I truly made the wrong choice." 25. Mom. Everyone makes wrong choices in life. What matters is realizing your mistakes in time. Besides, I raised my head and looked at her. Besides, if you hadn't been with Dad, maybe you wouldn't have such a smart and lovely daughter like me. My joking tone successfully brought a smile to my mom's face. She looked at me and asked seriously, "Henin, if your dad and I get divorced, would you be okay with that?" "Yes." "Would you choose to be with me?" "I would." This time, I answered without hesitation. Perhaps my answer gave my mother strength, as confidence returned to her face. "After your college celebration banquet ends tomorrow, I'll bring up divorce with him." "Okay." I hugged my mom and slept with her. I only got up after her breathing became steady, found one of my father's short hairs on the pillow and took it out of the bedroom. Early the next morning, I made an excuse to go out first and went to the hospital to collect Su Ro's hair. Then submitted hair samples from Su Ro and my father, as well as Su Ro and the meal delivery aunt for paternity testing. After returning home, my mother and I set off for the hotel together. As noon approached, the guests arrived one after another. My father was supposed to be recuperating in the hospital, yet he insisted on getting up to attend my college celebration banquet. I was initially worried he might cause a scene at the banquet, but my mother reassured me that he's too vain for that, which eased my mind. Just as my mother predicted, my father, who usually couldn't be bothered to glance at me, was now grinning so widely that even the bandages on his face couldn't hide his smile. "Old Su, your daughter is really making you proud. Of course, she takes after me." Someone looked at his pitiful state and asked with concern, "What happened to you? How did you get so badly injured?" Though shadows darkened his deep eyes, my dad's smile remained bright. "Ha. Just celebrating too hard after my daughter got into Tsinghua, had one too many drinks and ended up like this." 26. Hearing this, my mother and I exchanged glances, barely able to suppress our laughter. I have to admit, he's quite good at making excuses for himself. This talent for blatantly lying really comes in handy. Guests came in wave after wave, until finally, under my mother's eager anticipation, my grandparents arrived. Back then, my grandparents were angry because my mother stubbornly married my father. Over the years, although they secretly helped my mother's career, there was almost no visible interaction. Every time my mother went to visit them, they would put on stern faces. Only when facing me would the two elders show happiness. But deep down I knew they were just using me as an excuse to care for my mom. Their affection for me was simply an extension of their love for her. "Mom, Dad, you're finally here," my mother said with visible relief. My grandparents replied with proud expressions, "We wouldn't have come if we weren't worried Henin's graduation banquet might feel incomplete without us." Of course, let me show you inside." My mother went to help my maternal grandparents. All my classmates came, the Zhang family came, and Su Ro's whole family came too. As noon approached, almost all the guests had arrived, But I still couldn't see Chinjo anywhere. Only then did I realize I might have been a bit rash. I don't know about Chinjo's academic performance, nor which university he got into, so inviting him over like this seems rather rash. As I was thinking this, a familiar voice suddenly came from above. Where should I sit? I looked up and met Chinjo's beautiful eyes. I'll take you there. As I spoke, a smile involuntarily bloomed on my face. 27. I took Chinjo to the table where my high school classmates were sitting. Upon seeing Chinjo, the girls who had been chatting freely immediately blushed and fell silent. Hanin, you're amazing. You even managed to invite the school heartthrob who never gets close to anyone. Hearing this, I just smiled without saying anything. The Su group is sizable, and most of the attendees at my college celebration banquet were business partners. I followed my parents to toast the guests. When it came to the table where the Zhang family was seated, someone raised a question. Why are our in-laws sitting with us? My mother smiled and explained, here's the thing, Hanin and Chuyang's engagement has been called off. Their betrothal was just a casual remark made years ago, never meant to be taken seriously. Everyone present was sharp-witted, so no one pressed further. Instead, it was Zhang's parents who became displeased. However, they restrained themselves and didn't voice their stance. My mother wanted to spare the Zhang family some dignity, but I didn't. Wanting to end things gracefully after doing something disgraceful. Since when does the world offer such nice deals? I looked at Su Ro, who was clutching her stomach with a conflicted expression, as if struggling over whether to expose right then that she was pregnant with Zhang Chuyang's child. So, I simply walked toward Zhang Chuyang, who wasn't far from her. Halfway there, suddenly, my foot twisted, and I fell straight forward, and directly in front of me was Su Ro. Just as I was about to crash into Su Ro, a sudden force pulled at my waist. It was Chinjo. He had caught me by the waist. Thank you, I said to him as I straightened up in Chinjo's arms. The terrified Su Ro exploded, clutching her stomach as she stood up from the chair. She pointed at me and accused, Sui-han, you did this on purpose. You can't stand that I'm carrying Chu Yang's child and tried to make me lose the baby. 28. Su Ro's words caused an uproar in the room. The crowd instantly understood the reason I broke off my engagement with Zhang Chuyang was because he had an affair with my cousin, and they even had a child together. Everyone present cared about their reputation, and many looked at the Zhang family with undisguised contempt. The Zhang parents valued face most of all. Mrs. Zhang immediately denied, Su Ro, how dare you spout such nonsense? Our Chuyang isn't someone you can just seduce as you please, with things having come to this. Su Ro decided to abandon all restraint. Auntie, whether the child in my belly is Chuyang's or not, you know the truth. If you insist on denying it, we can always do a paternity test after the baby is born. You shameless slut, I'll tear your mouth apart. Just as the Zhang family and Su Daqiang's family were about to start fighting again, my mom directly had security kick both families out. The scene became quiet once more. The crowd's gazes toward me held more sympathy, of course. My dad was the exception among these people. His face turned livid, with a look in his eyes as if he wanted to devour me. As soon as we got home after the college celebration banquet, my dad exploded, how could you two be so vicious? Ruru is already pitiful enough, pregnant with Zhang Chuyang's child yet not accepted by the Zhang family. Must you drive her to death? But doesn't she deserve this punishment? Sui-han, don't think I don't dare to teach you a lesson. My father strode toward me. The security guards blocked my path, surrounding me tightly. If you don't want to end up hospitalized again, go ahead and try something. 29. I knew you were no good. Enough. My mother couldn't take it anymore and interrupted my father. Sujanan, let's get a divorce. Divorce, Jing Yunru, are you joking? My father's tone was full of shock and disdain. Clearly, in his mind, no matter how he treated my mother and me, she would never divorce him. Yes, divorce. My mother declared resolutely. After taking a moment to process this, my father sneered, fine, let's divorce then, we'll split the assets 50-50, why should we split it equally with you? What have you contributed to this family besides eating, drinking, and having fun? I protested. But my mother said, alright, I'll have the lawyer draft the agreement later, then it's settled. After my father went upstairs, my mother looked at me and reassured me, Hannah, since we've decided to divorce, the most important thing is to cut the knot quickly. Money can be earned again, and after all, he is your father, giving him some money isn't a big deal. My mother made a fair point, so I kept quiet for the time being, seeing that my mother was fine. I told her I was going out to meet a friend, actually went to the hospital, I hope my guess is wrong, so that to prevent my mother from being too upset, I can let Su Jinnan get a little inheritance. At the hospital, I successfully obtained the test results. When I opened the test report and saw the results, I was so angry I could barely breathe. I guessed right. Su Ro is truly the child of Su Jinnan and that meal delivery auntie. 30. I immediately took the test results back to show my mom, who was originally grieving over their decades-long marriage, became completely consumed by rage upon discovering that the child my father had through his affair was 3 years older than me. Truly my mother, even when angry, she didn't let rage consume her reason. She called my grandparents, and told them about the situation. My grandparents came with my 3 uncles. My father, who was taking a nap, was dragged off the bed and beaten severely by my 3 uncles, already injured. He was beaten to within an inch of his life. Then my eldest uncle placed a divorce agreement in front of him, demanding he sign it. When my father saw it required him to leave with nothing, he absolutely refused to sign. My uncle sneered, Su Jinnan, think carefully, if you don't sign, I'll report you for bigamy tomorrow and have you thrown in jail. Not only that, but from now on, I'll beat up every other member of the Su family I see. None of you will ever have a chance to succeed in this lifetime. Realizing that Su Ro's secret had been exposed, my father signed the document with a look of utter defeat. At that moment, my parents' divorce was finalized. From now on, he's no longer my father. Su Jinnan was thrown out of the villa like trash. I'm so angry. If it weren't for considering Henin, I would have made sure he went to jail. The uncles were furious. My mother had no time to grieve, turning instead to comfort my grandparents and uncles. In the end, my grandparents and uncles, out of concern for my mother and me, insisted on taking us in to stay for a while. At my grandparents' house, I felt a warmth I had never experienced before, so warm that I never wanted to go back. My mom also thought the villa was unlucky, so she sold it below market price. There was still over a month before Tsinghua's semester started. My mom asked me, "What are your plans next, Mom?" I want to do an internship at a company. After dealing with the trash, making money is what really matters. I need to learn how to manage the company early, so I can inherit the family business. After hearing my answer, my mother smiled and said, "Perfect, that's exactly what I had in mind." 31. My mother took me to buy several sets of professional attire. I put on the professional attire and tied up my long hair. The reflection in the mirror shows a bold and confident me, no longer the coward of my past life. The next day, I went to the company with my mom. I witnessed firsthand as my mom instructed HR to fire all the people Su Jinnan had previously planted in the company. Soon, my mom's phone in the CEO's office was ringing off the hook. "Sister-in-law, we're family after all. That bastard Su Jinnan's actions have nothing to do with me." Elder sister, I've already cut ties with Su Jinnan. Jobs are hard to come by these days. Could you please not fire me for the sake of our past relationship? When interests are at stake, the brotherhood Su Jinnan took such pride in proved utterly fragile. My mom, not wanting to waste time, simply blocked all these people outright. My mother handed me over to a senior at the company, and I had a lot to learn every day. Amidst this busyness, the affairs of the Zhang family and Su Daqiang's family also reached my ears without fail. It's not that I wanted to hear, but the Zhang family's scandals were simply too numerous recently, becoming common knowledge in the circle. After Su Ro publicly announced at my college celebration banquet that she was pregnant with Zhang Chuyang's child, Zhang's parents, feeling utterly humiliated, ordered Zhang Chuyang to cut off all contact with Su Ro. Whether it was Zhang Chuyang's deep affection or Su Ro's manipulative skills, he actually continued his affair with her behind his parents' backs. When Zhang's mother accidentally discovered this, she was so furious that she was hospitalized. At Zhang Corporation, several major cooperative projects fell through due to their disgraceful behavior, resulting in heavy losses. Watching the company's stock price plummet day after day, Zhang's father was overwhelmed with anxiety. That's not all. It turned out Su Ro didn't know she was an illegitimate child who couldn't be exposed to the light. After learning that the meal-delivering aunt was her mother, she furiously scolded Su Jinnan and her biological mother for being shameless. In a fit of anger, she directly lost the baby in her womb. 32. Without her child, Su Ro lost any chance to marry into the Zhang family. Her status in the Su family plummeted. She stopped being arrogant and began to coax Su Jinnan again. After all, Su Jinnan had money in his hands, back then. The reason Su Jinnan signed the divorce papers with my mother so readily was twofold. First, He feared going to prison and was intimidated by my uncles. Second, he had a substantial amount of secret savings. But someone accustomed to a life of luxury could hardly endure watching his savings dwindle day by day. Lured by Su Laosan, Su Jianan became addicted to gambling. Within just a month, he lost millions, wiping out his entire fortune. I heard from our former villa neighbors that a disheveled Su Jianan came looking for me and my mother at the villa. Unfortunately, the villa had long changed owners, and he couldn't find us. 33. Hearing people discuss those individuals' miserable circumstances again, I realized my heart remained largely unmoved. We've long belonged to different worlds, regardless of whether their future brings fortune or misfortune. I'll keep striving to become better. On the day Tsinghua University started, Zhang Chuyang stopped me at the school gate. Henin, I've completely cut ties with Su Ro. We grew up together since childhood sweethearts. Can you forgive me just this once? The ridiculous thing was, I actually saw a trace of genuine affection in Zhang Chuyang's eyes. Some people are like this, they don't cherish what comes easily, yet crave what they can't have. Sorry, I won't forgive you. Looking at Zhang Chuyang for even a second feels like a waste of my life. I walked straight past Zhang Chuyang and entered the school grounds. A familiar figure came into view. It's Qin Zhou. He's also holding an admission notice in his hand, as if waiting for me. Seeing me, he approaches and extends an invitation. Want to go register together? Okay. I nodded and walked side by side with Qin Zhou. Let bygones be bygones, and fear not the future. I will eventually become the person I want to be.